Hello everyone, and welcome to the final episode of Let's Cart, episode number 16 of Monster Hunter World on the PlayStation 4. Sorry for starting a minute late there. I am dying here without my energy drink. I went and I made a coffee, and I think I'm going to feel a lot better now. You guys ever get caffeine withdrawal? That should tell you how much caffeine I drink. If I don't have caffeine, I have caffeine withdrawal, like right away. So I love caffeine. Now, I bet what you guys are thinking. Today we're going to be fighting the behemoth, right? Oh my god, the behemoth. No, we're going to be saving the behemoth for another episode. Well, not another episode. We're actually going to be hosting behemoth for everyone to join, so that's going to be in a separate video. The reason this is the last episode of Let's Cart is because we have reached a point where we're ready pretty much to just go fight the endgame monsters. There's not really anything else left to do. Most of the optional quests are done. I mean, anything we haven't done, I can do by myself in my free time pretty easily. So we are pretty much done. Let's see, it looks like we can get these done. Pretty much what we're going to be doing today is wrapping up loose ends on anything else we haven't done. Like, I know I haven't talked to this guy, and he gives you quests throughout gathering tracks from monsters, right? Let's see if he gives me one. Alright, special investigations, yeah. So he'll be giving us quests as we continue to gather tracks on the monsters. And that's it. We really don't have anything else to do, in my opinion. There's just little bits that we can do, and I'm not too concerned about it. So we're just going to keep ourselves busy for this last episode, and then we will be fighting the behemoth in an episode soon. Actually, you know what we can do with the behemoth, now that I'm thinking about it? We can get the optional quest out of the way. Not the optional, what is it? It's the special assignment. We'll get the special assignment out of the way. How does that sound? We'll get that done today so that when we host for everyone on the PlayStation 4, you can join in and just go right into the full-on quest. Okay? Let's go ahead. I'm not going to use the bonehorn, I should say. I'm going to use the, where is it? Blast. Kiara Hammer Blast. Alright. Now I'm going to go ahead and have another drink. Etika has been found. That is good news. I'm glad to hear that. For those of you who don't know, Etika is a streamer. He's a content creator who does Smash Brothers, and he's been a little unstable lately. And they found his stuff near a bridge. And people were afraid that he had jumped off the bridge. But apparently they found him, so he did not commit, not alive. He did not commit neck rope, so we're glad to hear that. Very good. Maybe he just likes a little extra attention. Josh Poe says your midday streams make work bearable. Very cool. What should we stream once we're done with these Let's Plays? I suppose we could just stream regular endgame content every day. What do you guys think of that? See, we've been doing these Let's Plays, these Let's Cart episodes, and I haven't always done endgame content because of it. By the way, what takes more damage here? His head or his tail? Look at that blast. Whew. Lots of damage. And he's gone. Nice job, everyone. Oh my gosh, are you guys saying he's passed away? Hold on, I gotta look this up. No way. Oh my god, I thought you guys were saying that they found him alive. Etika Amofa found dead. This is an article by The Verge. Oh my god, I had no idea. Dude, that's sad as hell. Jesus, man. Just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you go and do that if you have a certain amount of success in life? Man. Yeah, I know he had gone missing the other day. I thought you guys were getting on to tell me that they found him alive. Jesus. Man, well, I'm sorry for his family, and I'm sorry for him, honestly. So young. Really not what you want to do. I mean, I guess he needed help, and he was not getting it. Jason Thomas says mental illness. That's pretty accurate, I would say. I mean, if you're going to go commit not alive, and you're young, and you're not necessarily broke, I don't really know what the reason is for. Jesus, man. I thought it was just going to be some stunt. I didn't think he'd be actually committing necrope. Jesus, man. Alright. Well, I don't know how long we could talk about it. Get my stream taken off. The Capcom's going to be like, nah, he can't have that. Okay, let's get this high-ranked Toby Kadashi. I even used a clip of his not too long ago in a different video. His famous reaction clip where he's just freaking out. Oh, that's so sad, man. Totally unnecessary. If you're ever feeling that bad about life, go and eat a candy bar or something, and then just go to sleep or something. You know what I'm saying? Go have a candy bar and go to sleep. Or a cookie. Do something. Whew. That is sad. I'm surprised I didn't see that pop up in my YouTube news feed. Fat Boy says, I didn't really know him, but rip to him. He's famous for his reaction video for some Smash Brother reveal. So he became like a meme almost for a little while. He was his reaction was used in a lot of memes for a while. So he became really popular real fast. Popular maybe it's not, I don't know if that's the right word, but definitely famous, right? And then he was just well known in the Smash community. Oh, that sucks, Bombay. The thing is, we knew he was in trouble because before he did this, he had just like deleted his channel or something like that, right? He had just deleted his YouTube channel. Is that right? And when you do something like that, it's a pretty irreversible mistake to do something like that. So when there was a hint that maybe he had committed not alive, I thought, maybe he's just crying out for help. I didn't think it'd be the real thing, but at the same time, it's not totally shocking. It must be hard to completely restart a YouTube channel or whatever, especially if you've had a level of fame that you could never not necessarily easily recreate. That sucks, man. Justin says, I wish it was that easy to just eat a candy bar and depression goes away. Rip. Anyways, we can only go one day at a time. Well, no, you're right. I mean, I'm not saying the candy bar is a solution. I'm just saying if you're really feeling bad, you need to like go do something. You know what I mean? The worst thing you could do is just sit there. That's the worst thing you could do. Take a nap. And I say candy bars just because I enjoy food a lot. So it's like go do something you enjoy real fast. You know what I mean? And it sucks, man. Usually people who are in serious depressive situations, they don't have that luxury. The problem is usually that they have problems, in life. Like, they don't have money, they don't have a place to live. I've experienced some of that stuff. You can't just, like, relax, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, if you can just relax, if you're in a situation where, well, maybe I'm just, you know what I mean? You need to take a nap and then go talk to someone. That's all I'm saying. It's not a like full-on solution. I'm not a doctor or anything. Yeah, it sucks. Alright. We'll call this the depression episode. The episode where Gameconomist recommends you eat candy. Eat a candy bar and go to sleep. Well, I'm not trying to trivialize it. If you guys didn't know, I had a lot of depression when I was younger. When I was 18, and you really, when you're that young and you don't really have life figured out, it's very easy to get depressed. And I'm saying the trick is just try to let some time go by. That's all I'm saying. Try to let some time go by, because life gets better, you know. But somebody, I guess, needs to tell you that, and you actually have to believe them. Usually, I've read about depression. Usually, you have serious depression when you really, well, there's the physical depression. That's where you can't do anything about it. You just got a problem in your brain. But a lot of regular depression is just not really believing that there's going to be anything good for you in the future. And all I'm saying is you need to stop thinking, and you need to go take a nap for a little while and let some time actually pass. Let a few years pass. Good Player says, why aren't you doing Kulf Taroth? Because we are doing the last episode of Let's Cart Monster Hunter World PlayStation 4. Wow, you'd think that would kill me, the falling rocks. Eat ice cream like when you break up with someone. Yeah, that was kind of the gist. You've got it, Silent Wolfie. That's exactly what I'm saying, is go have some ice cream or something. Just as a small, just something to take your mind off of how bad you are if you can. Depression isn't a had and gets better. That would be great. I don't know what you mean by that. Pavlov's dog. Ironic name here. I had some pretty severe depression, so I feel like I can talk at least a little bit about it. If you guys didn't know, when I was about 17 years old, I pretty much left home permanently, and essentially I never went back. You know, now I'm 30, so I've dealt with plenty of depression. That's not a normal thing for people to do, you know, and a lot of things went very poorly for me financially. So I'm very familiar with depression, I would say. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you just need a way to kind of let enough time pass. That's all I'm saying. Justin says, I was in that situation with depression. I went and got some help. I spoke out, and now I'm doing better with the prescriptions they prescribed. Zach McNabb says, work takes your mind off things pretty well, and if you focus on work while working, it's a good escape. Not only is work an okay escape, if it's like a labor job, the exercise is good. Also, earning money is good, because a big source of depression can often be just not having money to take care of yourself, so money is good. All right, let's jump over to the research base. We got to see if we have progressed in this quest. Pavlov says there's a big difference between sadness and depression, situational versus psychological. I took two classes in psychology because I was vaguely interested in psychology. Not to mention I read plenty of books on it. I don't think I would separate it between sad and depression. That's not really how, that's definitely not how a psychologist looks at it. Matt says, I find that depression doesn't go away, but over time with lots of work you can develop coping mechanisms. Sure, yeah, coping mechanisms. It's understandable. For people where depression never goes away, it's usually because of two things. You either never fix the problem that's causing the depression, or you're just physically in a state of depression because your brain's not producing enough. It's got like a chemical, an imbalance of, what are those called? Can't remember the name of them. Not neurons. What do they produce? I can't remember the term. They produce a thing. Komar says, I can relate to that. Currently in a bit of finance trouble while studying engineering with 32, working besides university. I think he means while 32. Working besides university, but I will fight through it. Game Addict says, if you're feeling depressed, you can't really say you have depression. Anyone can feel depressed, it's just an emotion. Depression is more or less a strong and consistent behavioral and emotional path. GN Rashia says, hi Gameconomist, glad I could catch the stream. Oh, glad you're here. Thank you, man. Shaku says, my MBA dream seems like it would be just that, a dream. Coping mechanisms get good. How's it going, Fabisimu Gaming? Tiny Tenor says hormonal imbalance. No, I'm not trying to say hormonal imbalance. It's a neurotransmitter. There we go. An imbalance in your neurotransmitters. That was the word I was trying to remember. Yeah. So you have serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and like one or two others that are pretty significant toward. And when there's a significant imbalance in them, you end up having more or less you end up having a very chronic depression. Chronic depression is one thing, right? Then you have like a situational depression where it's, okay, you've got problems in life, so situational depression. And they're different from each other, but they're also the same. We're jumping over here to a light upon the river's gloom. Do I want to do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Komar says, I meant while. I was thinking in German again. Are you using the Tarot Sleep Hammer? No, I have the I have the Kiar Blast. This is the Kiar Blast, unfortunately. Not as good as the Tarot Sleep, but it is okay. It's doing more damage than my horn. Cage Irvi says, a pet helps a lot in my opinion. I was on medication for a while and they never really helped, but I got a dog and it made me feel a lot better in the long run. I've heard a lot about that. Actually, my wife has a lot of anxiety, and having 2 cats actually helps relax her. But the pets never really worked for me. I am not the kind of person where I feel a lot of closeness to pets at all. I just kind of see them as like walking hamburgers a little bit. So it's hard for me to like feel like I have that sort of social bond with an animal. Shuntaro says, this feels like a therapy session right now, and in the background, the few people saying Etika has passed away. Good Player says, Gameconomist, can you give any tips about farming crowns for all the monsters? I have never farmed crowns, so I have no advice. I know that there's event quests that give you the crowns pretty easily, so you try to boil down all the quests that are going to give you the crowns, and then for the ones where you don't have crowns, you probably just have to go into an investigation over and over again, hoping you get lucky. Cornboy says, I honestly think social media has made things worse. Oh, they have. There's studies. People show how happy and perfect their lives are, but it is all superficial. Oh, yep. Elias Moran says, I feel like you have more German than English fans. Elias, you have no idea. I actually have I was just looking at my demographics. A very large portion of my fans are German. While Among Us says, Gameconomist's cats walking hamburgers confirmed. That's right. Painter says, the Kiar Blast is the only hammer I have. Would you recommend using that or building Diablos 2? I would recommend building Diablos 2. The reason I'm using this is because I don't have time to go build Diablos 2. Now I know why he doesn't want to face reveal his cats. Wait a second, where is it? We're going to grab these. So in this stage 1, guys, if we could drop the boulders to speed things up, that'd be nice. To the German fans, ich habe Casa in der Hose. I could never get attached to pets because I can't talk to them. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Pets seem like they're not the same experience as having like a real human experience. So I have trouble with enjoying pets. In the old games, the online servers were filled with Germans. Oh, I didn't know that. Hamburger. Sometimes I feel lonely, although I'm not alone. I accompany but by something I don't want to be, so I just end up feeling alone in the long run. Yeah, depression's tough, man, because when you actually have depression, you can have people be near you and not actually be able to talk to people. And one of the biggest problems is when you feel kind of like you're stuck in a downward spiral. Like, you can't get out of it, you can't talk to people, and it's just kind of like, it's almost like mentally very painful, and that's it. You're just like stuck in this thing, and it's very mentally painful. Alright. There's one fallen boulder. No! Drop the other boulder, guys! There it goes. Alright. Now we gotta run to the other side of the map. Warwick says, I love Americans speaking German. I don't know what it sounds like to a German. Demonetized. There are a lot of bad things you can say in this channel, but you never say demonetized. That is the ultimate bad word. Dina says, first time watching you live. Thanks for joining, Dina. Come on, guys. If you want to, if you want to bring him over here, we can drop this boulder real fast. It does great damage. And you can still attack him. Which platform do you prefer when playing Monster Hunter World? The Xbox, but only because I strongly prefer the Xbox controller. Here he comes. Alright, there's that, and we got one more boulder to drop, and then he will leave. Etika has passed away, man. Dude. That's whack. It's so weird when a YouTuber passes away because all of their content is still on the internet, you know? So if you want to see him talking as if he was alive, you can. You can just go look at his stuff. Or just find a clip that he's in, right? It's very strange. It's something I've thought about as well. Like, if I have children and grandchildren, one day they're going to be like adults and they're going to be like, oh yeah, this was Grandpa Gameconomist. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're just going to be able to look me up and hear me talking. Really a strange idea. It's kind of a new idea, you know? They didn't have a lot of that from the past. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. None of that landed. Boop. Oh. It's not that strange. TV's been around for years now. Oh, I know. Maybe it's strange for me personally because I always imagined myself just kind of dying and passing away and just being kind of like a tombstone essentially. But because of this channel, people will actually be able to know what I sounded like and what I worked on. And the idea of like having grandkids who can still hear me talk is so strange. It's not really something I ever considered would happen to me. I wish I could play, but the first thing I did was curse on YouTube, and then I blamed my 3-year-old brother, and then, well, my character got deleted. What? What are you talking about, man? Oh, did you see that? God, that was so good. Ooh, I thought I was gonna hit that tail. If you guys didn't know this, the tail actually takes extra damage from hammers. What is your main hammer? It feels like it's becoming the hammer, to be honest. I am in love with the hammer. But I know an awful lot about the heavy bowgun as well. Yeah, big fan of the hammer. I don't know what made me decide to like it so much. Nice job cutting the tail. Paul asks, wait, Etika is really passed away? Yes, he is. I just looked it up in the news. Etika is out of here, man. They were searching for... I knew they were searching for him. I had read the news. If you guys didn't know this, I read the news all day, every day. And I knew they were searching for him, but I didn't think... I thought it would be like some kind of stunt. He actually passed away. Really sucky. By the way, you might hear some background noise from my air conditioner and from some construction work. Monster Hunter World Confessions. The handler has fat cheeks. God. Do you have a lot of Latin subscribers? I'm from Honduras. I don't know actually. That is hard to know. And when you said Latin, I thought you meant like Roman Latin. Got me there. We're about to start saying the Ave Maria together. The Pater Noster. I imagine I must have I must have a certain amount of Latino subscribers. My most common subscriber though is German. If you're not talking about US. US is the most. Do you have any idea about Filipino? Actually, Renel, Filipino's pretty high. I could probably get into my statistics and look it up right now. Let's see if I can find out. Because you guys are making me curious. Latino's high and German's high. That's what I remember. I was actually surprised to find out Latino was high because it seemed a little obscure. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't expect it. We want to... I'm jumping into my analytics. And we're going to head over to demographics. Demographics time. The vast majority of my viewers are male. By a lot. I have like 2% of my viewers are female. So I have almost no girls watching. It's a sausage party, guys. Let's see. The most common age is between the ages of 25 and 34. 11% of my viewers are over the age of 40. How about that? So 1 in 10 of the viewers are over the age of 40. A lot of older people. It's actually very surprising. I didn't expect that. I expected the biggest audience to be young. But did you know only 3% of my audience, only 3, is 13 to 17 years old? So I have almost no young people watching. Almost no really young people watching. And then the vast majority of people are between the ages of 18 and 35. Vast majority. But what if I want to look at by area? How do I look that up? Thought it would be under demographics. It should be under demographics. All right, let's see what else we have to do. Hold on, we'll get back to this, but we got to keep playing. Go to the optional. Alright, so none of these are lit up anymore. Let's see what else lights those up. I'm trying to remember what else does it. Oh, I know. Let's run up to the armor lady up here. She often gives out quests. Here it is, geography. By the way. So I click on geography. Alright, he doesn't have anything. What about her? No, she doesn't have anything either. Well, it might be time to start up the Behemoth quest line. Let's jump down to the trade yard. So in terms of minutes watched, Americans watched 8 million minutes of my content in the last 28 days. 8 million. Germans watched a little over, it's like 1.1 million. So 8 million, actually slightly under 8 million for the US. And then for Germany is 1.1 million. So that's actually really surprisingly a lot. Because when you add up all the other ones under the United Kingdom, it's actually less than Germany. It's under 1 million from the UK. Canada significantly drops off. Australia is only 400,000. Brazil gets 300,000. And then right under Brazil is the Philippines. Really surprisingly. So Philippines comes really high up on that list for some reason. It actually comes above France. What else? Italy, Singapore, Mexico, Spain, Sweden, Austria, Switzerland. Yeah, really strange. Yeah, so it goes Germany, UK, Canada, Australia, Brazil, and then Philippines, and then France. Really, really weird. I just didn't expect it. All right, so we talked to the serious handler. What are we supposed to do at this point? I can't remember what you do after you talk to the serious handler. Do we have to go to the... I haven't done this in a while. Zechariah the Messiah, he says, hold on. What motivates you to play Monster Hunter World all the time? Monster Hunter World is genuinely one of the few games I can play a lot without getting burnt out. I guess it's because it's a complex game and there's a lot of weapon classes to play. So I always feel like I have something to do, something to learn. I'm also really hyped for Iceborne, so I'm just kind of playing this game while we wait for Iceborne to come out. And Iceborne's going to be out in like 3 months. We're at the end of June now, so we're only 3 months away. There's going to be the Summer Festival to look forward to. Maybe they'll have something new at the Summer Festival. No guarantees. So, yeah, it's interesting. I just always feel like I have a lot to do. Also, there's a pretty good community here, so there's always somebody to play with. My favorite thing to do is to just play the end game monster with you guys. That's really what I'm enjoying. How was I supposed to start this? So we fought the behemoth. Were we supposed to go up to the Elder's Recess? Wait, we didn't fight him. We talked to the lady who starts the behemoth. Renell says, I'm from the Philippines and I really love your content. Nice to hear that, Renell. My grandma's Filipino. She is. That makes us relatives. Me and you, Renell. I'm just kidding. But she made chicken adobo and pancit and a whole lot of fish. And then I learned how to make all those things. Nothing really says you're going to finish the series with Behemoth. I'm going to finish the series with getting the unimportant parts of the Behemoth quest line ready, and then we're going to host like a full Behemoth. We're going to have Behemoth for like a day, right? For one of my streams. When is the summer festival? Well, it's not in 3 weeks. We know that. Oh, did I not have enough hunter rank? No, Wallawonga says HR 16 for Behemoth. Oh, he says research base, huh? We'll check the research base out. That's a good idea. I thought for some reason maybe we were supposed to go here to the Elder's Recess, but I don't think that was part of it. Yeah, let's go to the research base. That's a better idea. Moses says, I'm from Chicago, and I really think your content is okay. I'ma support you, though, bro. Thanks, Moses. Whew, I heard Chicago had a lot of shootings, actually. I was reading an article about that. It was like 30 people dead in some small amount of time. That is rough. Of course, not everywhere in Chicago is like that. I have a friend, an old Xbox friend. He lives in Illinois near Chicago, and he actually lives in a really nice neighborhood. We're kind of the same way here in St. Louis. If you go to certain areas of St. Louis County, it's got like the highest murder rates in the world. It's really shocking that it's right here in America. America #1. But then if you go to like the suburban areas, is actually very nice. So it's really strange. All right. It wasn't to talk to her. Oh, Wallamunga says go to special assignments. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I'm like so distracted right now. There's so much going on. Oh my god, thank you so much, Wallamunga. You're a hero. It would have taken me so long to figure that out. You need to kill the giant Kulu Yaku. Right, of course. It's been so long since I've done this. Isn't that strange? St. Louis, Missouri repping here. Are you from St. Louis, Coleman? St. Louis, Missouri. We won the Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues, and everyone went wild. It was like, that night was as loud as 4th of July. Everyone was shooting fireworks. Is mounting Arch-Tempered Kulftaroth in Stage 3 bad? Yes, it is. It's always bad. Only mount in Stage 4, please. My boyfriend says Keizu spammed Roar or something and no theme, so he doesn't want it. What? I don't know what you mean by that, Lady Miku. Wallamunga's like, I'm a hero. He's got the glasses on. Today's stream, Gameconomist forgets how to Monster Hunter World. Yeah, I'm so distracted. You have Etika passed away, and I'm thinking about my demographics, and I'm thinking about things I read in the news. Chicago, St. Louis. There's a lot of things going on in my head. Don't worry, once Iceborne hits, I will be serious as hell, because I'm ready for the Iceborne. I'm just playing something I've already played. That's the problem. I've already done the story mode. So I'm here to relax. I'm not here to hardcore, guys. We hit up Iceborne and I will hardcore. And you guys will all be like, wow, when did he get so good at this game? And I'll be like, it was the thousands of hours that I put into it. That's when it got so good. Dude, look at these little guys. Look at these little mofos. Cactuar cutting. We got 2 of them. Dude, why are there so many of them? They're heading north. Keizu for Iceborne 2020. Wallamanga, can you believe there are people who don't want Keizu and Iceborne? What is wrong with people? The live stream is sad hunting. Look at this guy just dancing around. Get this guy. Dance right in front of me. Am I a joke to you? Oh my god, so many free points. Look at all these guys. Oh my god, I want the one with the flower. Oh, I'm going for it. The final episode where we reflect on mental health and demographics, not Monster Hunter. That's right, Game Addict. We can talk about video game addiction next. How about that, since your name's Game Addict? Do you guys believe that there's such a thing as video game addiction? I believe it. That's an easy one for me. I definitely believe it. Okay, we will go over to the bushes of cacti. Yeah, that's an easy one. Game addiction. Have you never met somebody who his life is not really in one piece, but he can't stop playing games? That's game addiction. The cactuars are so cute. I want everything in Iceborne, even Plesioth. Oh my god, what if Plesioth did return? That'd be amazing. Mezzy says, Keizu doesn't even have a theme. He doesn't need a theme. They'll give him a theme. He has the coolest looking skin in the game. He looks creepy as hell, and he hangs from the ceiling. That's all we need. Do I have to watch this? I guess I do. It's like all other cutscenes. It's like, yeah, you're gonna watch it. Are you an adventurer? It's a silly question. And look at this Kuliyaku. He's like, oh. When you hit the steroids. Everyone in the chat right now. Of course it exists. I have it. I have game addiction. What is this ultimate crossover event? We've got The Witcher in Final Fantasy in Monster Hunter. This is the ultimate crossover experience.
Oh my. Oh dear. Right.
Wallamanga says, imagine a hybrid between Plesioth, Garuga, and Keizu. I'm just going to capture this guy too, actually. I'm not even going to use him. He's giving that good 300 points, man. I'm not giving up on those points. Give me back that rock, bitch. Nah, that wasn't a good one. Oh, he actually hit me. That sucks. He KO'd me right away. He killed me in like 2 moves. Oh my god. Who is this guy? Wow, I died to a Kulu Yaku. Just got me in 2 moves. Oh, here we go. Here we go killing again. What's your favorite album by Nine Inch Nails? That's a trick question. I like all of them. To tell you the truth, though, his earlier albums, obviously, I think everyone who enjoys Nine Inch Nails are gonna say the same thing. They're gonna say Fragile or Downward Spiral or maybe even his really really old '80s album. What's the name of that album? I can't remember the name of it. There was he made so many. Hold on. Downward Spiral and Fragile are probably the 2 most famous. He's got the album with Teeth. That one's pretty good. I'm a big fan of actually Ghosts. Did you listen to his Ghosts? He ended up using a lot of that music to create the soundtrack for The Social Network later. In fact, a lot of his soundtrack work is just based on music similar to what he did in Ghosts. Not as big a fan of his later work, sadly. He's had a few hits here and there, but nothing quite as like amazing as his old stuff. Toy Story 4 made me cry like a little kid again. Oh, did that finally come out? I have like 0 interest in watching it. Something tells me I would watch it and feel like it's hot garbage. Here's someone sharing an intimate moment. I love Toy Story, and I'm like trashing on it, and I haven't even watched it. That's really mean. Look at how good I am in this game, dies to Kula Yuku. Hey, you dropped by earlier in Discord voice chat just to say hello and chat for a bit. It was really nice. Oh, cool. Thanks for joining the live stream, Skycy. Yeah, I like to say hi to people in the voice chat every now and then. Usually there's this point in my work schedule where I'm done doing something, like I'm done with the voice recording or I'm done writing a script, and I just kind of check into the Discord, and maybe I'll have my microphone already plugged up and I'll just pop in and say hi. I also like to know what people are doing. I'm a gossip girl. I like to know what's up, you know what I mean? Gameconomist emo confirmed. Yeah, if you guys didn't know this about me, my favorite band of all time, without any contest at all, is Nine Inch Nails. It's not even close, actually. It's just mostly Nine Inch Nails. Like, there are other musicians I enjoy, but it's like Nine Inch Nails is like legendary. It's way above the rest. Way above the rest. Nine Inch Nails all the way. And of course classical music. I'm a big fan of classical music, soundtrack music. I like Radiohead a lot as well, but who doesn't like Radiohead? He's really good. Ooh. I listened to Ghosts a lot and used it in my RPG sounds. I actually like the last trilogy of EPs, but the new guy working with Trent waters down the intensity of Nine Inch Nails. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, you're talking about is Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I think you're talking about. You're talking about Atticus Ross? That's the guy who works with them on stuff like Ghosts. And I don't know. He's also got his wife. His wife works too, right? So his wife, what is her name? I think she's actually Filipino, Trent Reznor's wife. Isn't she? I can't remember. Is she Filipino? And she had her whole, what was the name of the, she did her own little offshoot called How to Destroy Angels. Is that right? How to Kill Angels. And they worked together. Her, him, and Atticus Ross, all 3 of them worked together on that album. That actually has some cool sounding music, but it just wasn't quite as good as his old original stuff. His old stuff is just so good. It's really hard to beat. Let's meme the stream saying bird up. Coleman says, you see the leaked trailer for Monster Hunter World movie? It looks really cool. No, I've not seen any leaked trailers, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't make a video on it, because I don't want to get in trouble. Think I want to be in trouble? Heck no. Stop moving, Cooley Coo. I wonder why we're not more concerned we're gonna break that big blue thing. If this stream hits 100 likes, Gameconomist will play Nine Inch Nails on stream. Well, I don't know about that. Maybe the Quake theme. Did you guys know that Nine Inch Nails' Trent Reznor made the Quake music from the 90s game Quake? Did you know that about him? I could probably play that without getting demonetized. Also, Trent Reznor did the main theme for Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Is that right? I think that's right. He's a famous dude, man. He made a lot of stuff. Ooh. 9-inch nails. Why is this the last episode of Let's Cart? Because I don't really have anything left to do. The whole point of this character was to reach the end game, and I'm basically there. I'm very close. He's out of here. Just Somebody says, even though the movie might be trash, I'm still going to watch the Monster Hunter movie because I'm proud of this franchise. Yeah, I agree. If you like Nine Inch Nails, you could give Tool or Meshuggah a chance. The Trent made the Doom 3 soundtrack. He really did he? I didn't know that. Wow. I'm always learning something new about him. I didn't know did he make the whole soundtrack, or did he just contribute to some part of it? It actually makes a lot of sense that he would have worked on a Doom soundtrack, doesn't it? Oh no. Oh, that hurts. Am I gonna die? I don't want to die. Oh, I'm KO'd. He KO'd me in one move. Oh god. Oh god. I'm still alive. We're good. He's dead. I do like Tool's old work, and I don't know about Meshuggah, but I don't really feel like anyone's ever recreated the sort of sound or genre that Nine Inch Nails did. He's pretty distinct. It's hard to get anything like him. Some of the more recent music that I've enjoyed is, what do they call it? It is called Synthwave. Synthwave. You know what's funny? Synthwave kind of had a coming back around the time Stranger Things came out, but me and my wife were already listening to steampunk because we were into computer science. And what happened is we needed music that we could program to because it helps you focus. So we started out listening to 8-bit music I was already kind of enjoying because I'm a big fan of video games. And while we were into 8-bit music, we got introduced to synthwave music, which I actually made some. This is funny, you guys don't know this about me. I actually used to make music on a computer, right? So I had made some synthwave music back then, and then Stranger Things came out, and it's like it became very popular all over again. The synthwave did. The synthwave kind of music that was from the 80s. It's from the 80s. And it would be an 80s classical music, or not classical music, it'd be an 80s like horror movies or car shows, or car movies, stuff like that. They would use the synthwave music because in the 80s, a lot of robots and machines were coming around at that time, and it was all new and cool, and they needed music to match it. Or how about Russian electric? I think it was just called Electrica. Yeah. Kamar Real says he made a whole soundtrack, but only parts of it were used. Sadly, man, if Trent Reznor would make the soundtrack for Elden Ring, I would be so happy. If Trent Reznor makes the soundtrack for Elden Ring, this would just be an Elden Ring channel. That's all it would be. It would be done. I'd be like, yep, I made up my mind. It would be the perfect combination of Miyazaki, George R.R. Martin, and Trent Reznor. It would be like the greatest thing you'd ever play. Actually, you don't need Trent Reznor to make the music for Elden Ring. I have faith in the orchestral compositions that they already have, that they were using for Dark Souls 3. You guys remember Slave Night Gale, the Medeir soundtrack, and the theme for the Lost, what was it called? The Lost City? Is that what it was called? The Ringed City. There we go. It was just really beautiful. So they don't even need necessarily to have Nine Inch Nails making music for them. I think they're going to do just fine with what they already have. You going to do the names Lavasia during Festival and PlayStation 4? I'll probably hit it up a few times. Yeah, I'll probably hit it up a few times. You know, I'm not crazy about farming for decorations these days. I don't really give a crap. The idea that you have to have like weakness exploit, handicraft, crit boost, and all that other stuff in order to win, I don't really believe in that anymore. I see those decorations as things that allow you to win faster. What you really need in order to win is health boost and mostly just health boost. Skyzy says, not only Stranger Things, the game Hotline Miami, really awesome stuff. Yeah, there was Hotline Miami. There was another one, actually. Oh, there was another one. It was a, shoot, man, I can't remember the name of the game. It was an indie game for the PlayStation. Oh, I can't remember. I wish I could, but that was also using synthwave music as well, and that helped popularize it as well. And it was just so funny, the timing of it, because, like I said, my wife and I had just started programming, and we were listening to synthwave music, and we're like hipsters. We're like, oh man, look at this awesome secret genre we found that only us and a few hipsters like. And then all of a sudden, all these things come out, and it's like, ah, dang it, now everyone likes it. That ever happened to you, where you like something first, and then everyone else figures out about it, the mainstream figures out about it? So that was pretty funny. You're like, that's my thing. You can't enjoy it. Play Gordon Ramsay heck tips. I don't know about that. Gordon Ramsay. Bitrunner, Terraria, and their sweet soundtracks too. Well, Terraria, I know exactly what you're talking about with Terraria. Terraria was one of the soundtracks we did listen to while we were programming, and it does have a terrific sound, but it's not necessarily what I would call synthwave. Terraria is like a combination of just a soundtrack for a video game and maybe a little bit of electronica, actually. Electronica and synthwave, although they're very similar, there are actually some distinctions between like the instruments that are used. In a lot of synthwave, you have a lot of pads being used and a lot of like electronic drums that are used as well, and they create a very distinctive rhythm in the music. So that's kind of how you know it's synthwave. Whereas electronica doesn't necessarily have to do that. There's a difference between them. Komar says, yes, the Dark Souls soundtrack and voice work are beautiful. The voice of the maiden in black is Verbal Velvet. Verbal Velvet. Ashen one. Oni-chan. What are we doing? What did I just click on? I don't even know what I'm doing in the game. I'm just clicking buttons, to tell you the truth. Walla Manga says it was more minimalistic and ambient than the epic tracks we got on newer games. Cool. God Terror Boy says, I love Terraria music because I'm addicted to it. Well, is love and addiction the same thing? There's a philosophical question for you. Just somebody says Keanu Reeves doesn't like people calling him nice. Oh, here we go. Okay, we're fighting the behemoth. Cool. Wallamunga says, oof, I didn't get in because I was distracted by the stream. That's funny. Game Addict says, welcome to the day and age where politics have to do with everything because some crazy people say so. What? I don't know what you're talking about, man. Are you talking about, like, the whole SJW thing? Because I am tired of that, but I don't know if that's what you're talking about here. Wow, look at this giant boulder. And everyone died. It's basically a nuclear explosion. I'd be like, heck no. Elias says, I got 4 important exams tomorrow. Wish me luck, please. Good luck, Elias Moran. All you gotta do is study. How's it going, Bread's Crust? He says, been watching the videos. Finally get to watch one live. I'm glad to hear that. Drew Mac, I haven't heard from you in a while. He says, so that the world would be mended. What? Games Addict says, I actually like a lot of the instrumental music you find in games. Yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan of that. TGC, where's my bloody Dragonator? Is bloody allowed? Does YouTube censor bloody? bloody gets used for, you know, it's a synonym, right, for actual an actual state of being, bloody. So it doesn't sound like a curse word, but it technically is. If you're British. All right, let's go beat this guy up. Hammer against Behemoth is actually very easy. You just attack his legs. It's a very safe place to be on him. Oh, we should probably drop those. Woo. 438 damage, huh? Drew Max says, "Yo, Gameconomist is from Demon Souls. I popped into chat and saw demon stuff." Nice. Get over here. Come on, Behemoth. You know you want to target me. Oh my god. It's Jason Bourne. What is this guy doing? Get over here. It's because they're all over the... They're all fighting him. I just want to drop this other boulder, guys, and then we can just get back to fighting him like normal. I start with the boulders because that way the monster doesn't, like, move on to the next area. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want the monster to go to stage 2 without dropping both the boulders. Oh, I tried. It would have been cool to drop it out of the air. That would have been cool. Alright. See, now we can do lots of damage. What's your favorite Dark Souls boss? Slave Knight Gale. He is the best. Without any doubt. He is a perfect ending to that game, in my opinion. I was really impressed. Because I've played a lot of games, and games these days, it seems like they don't care as much about the final boss. I would say even Capcom made that mistake with the LnHbnNHnCbc. LnHbnNHnCbc was not that much of a final boss. I remember defeating him on, like, my first try. Ah, damn it. But Slave Knight Gale was appropriately challenging, and he was like, I don't know, he just kind of like finished he finished the story so well. There was a sort of oh, come on, man, give me back my camera. Quick, get behind those boulders. He was anticlimactic, and I think that's part of what I liked so much about him. Alright. Where does he go now? Oh, main objective complete. Well, that was easy. Gameconomist becomes Ant-Man and goes into Behemoth's bum-bum. Behemoth is the absolute worst. Only weapon I use is like bowgun on him. Really, there are people that still feel like Behemoth is really difficult. Behemoth is easy, guys. He's a pretty easy pushover. Skyzy says, I remember the 5 or 6 cards you had for LnHbnNHnCbc on PlayStation Play, though. Did I really? Links Fresh said, I watched them, didn't like them as video game movies, but as standalone movies, they were fine. See, I jump into conversations sometimes. Let's do Behemoth once with the Doot Squad. I think we're going to save it for another video, guys. We're going to save it for a different video. Well, on the other hand, we have an hour left. Ooh, maybe we will fight Behemoth. Hold on. We got to have something to do. Yeah, I gotta have something to do for the next hour. Scipio Africanus says, if you were to design the endgame of Monster Hunter Iceborne, what would it look like? It would need to have an extremely high level of replayability and diversity in experience, and it would be appropriately difficult. It would be very, very important that fighting the endgame monsters could render video scenes, images, You know, kind of like, how do I describe it? I know what I'm thinking of. Kind of like moments in the fight that are so epic that people want to share it. You know what I mean? So I feel like this is really important in video games. You'll have moments that are so exciting that you just are dying to go show people how you did a thing, right? So with Kulturoth, I don't really feel like you have that experience very often. I feel like you have it with Extreme Behemoth a bit more. Yeah. So there would be a diversity of endgame fights, and there would need to be a reason for you to keep playing as well. Something for you to actually grind for. I don't feel like there's that much to grind for in the base game. You could argue the decorations are there to grind for, but I feel like people give up on the decorations because it's not that exciting, is it? What do you think of the German, or is it German, fight from Bloodborne? I never actually fought German. I thought it was cool. I've seen it on YouTube, but it wasn't like blowing my mind. You know what I mean? Game Addict says, I'm referring to SJW, but there are some journalists targeting YouTubers like Yang Ye, pulling advertisers from them and labeling them as right-wing and provocatura? Yeah. Epic struggle between SJW progressives and whatever the other group is. I probably fall into more of the other group. I actually can't stand SJW progressives. They drive me insane. I feel like they've ruined a lot of good things. Alright, let's see. He taketh it with his eyes. What a name of a quest. Yeah, I don't know when everyone turned into... I don't know. We could just do it. Here. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Why not? Why not? Yang Ye is under investigation? Is that what you said? Better not be. What did he... He's like the most milquetoast kind of dude ever. What does he do? He just reads the news and he says, he reads the most outrageous news he can and he kind of gives his opinion on things, but he doesn't like ask for anything too crazy. Kamar's Real says, at Nergigante had those trailer moments when you get that perfect flinch or spike break. That's true. That's true. Those are really important, is what I'm saying. It's really important to have those experience in your end game fights, because you want people to have moments that are crazy, and then they're going to go and they're going to share those moments, and that's what makes a game really fun, right? So and something, I know this is going to sound rough, or maybe some of you will disagree with me, but I think they should have one appropriately difficult monster. So if you think Extreme Behemoth is difficult, he's not. Extreme Behemoth he's the most difficult monster. If you talk about relative difficulty, he's more difficult than the other monsters in the game, sure. But the truth is, if you got 4 qualified players together, right, he's just going to die. It might take you 2 tries, maybe 3 times, but he's going to die. I'm talking about a fight so difficult that even the speedrunners, the players who hold the world records for killing monsters in Monster Hunter World, have about a 50-50 chance of defeating the monster that they're fighting. So I think that is actually very important that Capcom releases a monster of that type, so difficult that maybe 0.1% of players will actually defeat that monster. And then there needs to be a lot of other monsters who are considered endgame monsters, and they have a loot that you are desperately trying to obtain, but it's difficult to obtain, and a progression system that is meaningful and enjoyable to grind on. I think that the decorations was not that meaningful. Also, the hunter rank was not that important either. I don't even care or look at my hunter rank, so they need something really for you to work on. Also, they have arm wrestling. When are they going to have tic-tac-toe in the Gathering Hub? Seriously, we need tic-tac-toe. Come here, Behemoth. Woo. Gotta beat you in the leg. Dude, this fight's so easy. Not to mention, we could cheese him if we wanted. Oh, he smacked me. Monster Hunter World Iceborne needs that monster, a monster that challenges even coordinated teams. That's exactly right. If you don't have that in the game, you don't actually... You know, when people say a monster is difficult, it's so funny. It's usually they will say this after defeating the monster. Like, you actually defeated it. How do you have the right to call it difficult? A difficult monster is a monster that you can't beat. If you've defeated the monster, you could call him annoying. That would be accurate, but you can't call him difficult because you actually defeated him. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for Extreme Behemoth, you could call him difficult, sure, but you just defeated him. How difficult is he, really? A better explanation would be that he's actually very annoying. He's got very annoying moves like the Ecliptic Meteor, whew, or the protecting that one comet. Skycy says, but then it's going to be a luck-based fight. No. They can make it skill-based. They can make it skill-based. When people say something like it's a luck-based fight, it's usually because they need a way to describe why they didn't win. Ooh. Get over here. I've been playing video games since I was like 8 years old. So I have about 22 years of video gaming experience. And ever since I started video game as a kid, I play about 8 hours a day. I know all about difficulty in video games. They could create a difficult monster that defeats the speedrunners. And that's really what they need. Because they don't have a PvP mode in this, right? So in Monster Hunter World, there's no PvP mode. And that's why you gotta have a monster that's going to defeat your speedrunners. After X Behemoth, the normal Behemoth seems like Jagras. That's right. Wallamonga says, wait, so a monster that killed you hundreds of times isn't difficult? Who killed you hundreds of times? Hundreds of times? That's a lot of time, man. Oh. Did he get flashed? I did not even see. Oh, he got me. Guess I'll put on my baby blanket temporal mantle, which allows me to cheese any monster. What hammer is Gameconomist using? This is the Kiara Blast. So yeah, what I would do if I was in charge of the end game for Monster Hunter Iceborne, we would have a monster that has a 50-50 chance of consistently defeating the speedrunners. So even after these speedrunners have practiced for like many hours against this monster, they would still lose at least half the time. Because it would be that difficult. Something that just wrecks you, like it's near indefeatable. And then you could say we have a difficult monster. And then there would be probably 3 to 4 monsters that are about the difficulty of an extreme behemoth. I'd probably have about 3 to 4 of those. And then plenty of arch-tempered monsters as well. Enough that you could just play those all day. And I would probably add RNG weapons similar to what they have with Kulve Taroth. But these weapons would be much cooler. These weapons would have special moves that the other weapons in that weapon class don't have. And then this would make them something that everyone covets. They'd be like, dang, I want that one. And he's down. Yeah, so I would create a hammer that maybe drops from the behemoth, right? And that behemoth hammer is special because it actually has a moveset no other hammer has. So people will be like, man, I gotta get that hammer so that I can play with that special moveset. Am I stuck? I'm like stuck. I can't get between these 2 rocks. Oh, we're good. And so there would be, let's say there were like 25 endgame monsters. Or let's say 15 endgame monsters. And maybe they're the same monster that you've already fought. They're just like they're like they've been upgraded. The difficulty on them has been increased, kind of like what we do already with the arch-tempered monsters. So let's say we have about 15 of them. Each one would have a very special weapon that only that monster can drop. It will be RNG based, and it will be so insanely good that people will have to fight that monster to unlock it. Speedrunners still lose to X-Behemoth around 80% of the time. Try to catch a stream of theirs before you say that. Are you talking about solo? Ooh. Are you talking about... So, who was saying that? Mezmezi's saying that. So, Mezmezi, are you talking about an actual solo run where they're not trying to get the world record speed run? Or are you talking about... Oh, this guy's all over me. Or are you talking about them resetting the game when they've made a mistake? Okay, so when I've watched speedrunners play in their live streams before, of course, what they do is if the monster kills them, they reset. They reset because they can't have that. That would ruin the run. If they fail to get a certain time by certain progress in the fight, they reset because they can't have that. So this is very different from being able to actually defeat the monster, right? This monster would be so difficult that if they used every cheese option in the game, so I'm talking about like cluster bombs, fortitude, baby blanket in every scene, right? Every single cheat they can, they would still lose. That's how difficult this monster would be. So that's... Ooh, I'm gonna die. I guess he wasn't aiming for me that time. So that's how difficult I would want a monster to be. It would be like the final boss monster, and it would be terrifying, and you would never win. And one more thing to it, it would also have the coolest reward in the game. So the coolest reward in the game would be locked behind the most difficult monster in the game. None of this, okay, you get a special like name or title, none of that. The coolest reward in the game would be locked behind a monster that even the speedrunners can't beat. That's how I would make the end game to Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Yeah, Elias Moran makes a good point right there. He says, yes, but speedrunners are playing extremely risky. So that's exactly what I was talking about. I was talking about how they play. So even in their best strategy to simply live and finish the fight, they would still lose about 50-50. So 4-man cluster bombs with 4-man using Temporal Mantle, nothing but Temporal Mantle, they still lose. Central Gaming Z says, that sounds like artificial difficulty. Do you even know what artificial difficulty means? It's a very loose term, right? It can mean a lot of things. You're allowed to have a difficult monster. If a monster is annoying to you, that does not mean he's artificially difficult, alright? Like, I'm a little worried based on what you just said there, that people are going to start using the term artificial difficulty as an excuse for something that they find too difficult. See what I'm saying? Sekiro is actually a really good example of good difficulty. In Sekiro, there's a very clear way that you're losing, right? It's not like random, and it's not like he's just some crazy bullet sponge. I would make a monster so complicated and that would require so much thinking in the middle of the fight that you would not be able to keep up with this monster. It would essentially outsmart you, which is real difficulty. That's real difficulty. Like, you ever think of somebody losing a game of chess, right? Somebody losing a game of chess. Is that artificial difficulty or is that real difficulty? And that's really a very good way to define what artificial difficulty really is. So artificial difficulty would be like if it's heavily luck-based and if it's based on like the monster's fight just being oh, come on, man. The monster's fight just being a big bullet sponge, and he probably would be a little spongy, right? You gotta have some damage. Because there is such a thing as like fatigue. Your mind gets fatigued. So if a fight is long enough, your brain will actually get fatigued. So there will be a little bit of sponginess to him, and he will probably hit hard. But I mean, he will actually be smart and complex, which is what makes a fight really good. And he will be smarter than the speedrunners. Mesmezi says, you're just asking for Monster Hunter Frontier Z. Nice. How do you determine a 50-50 win ratio? Statistics. So I've mentioned this before in a different stream. I've mentioned that when you're programming programs these days, they all use complex information gathering like functions inside of the software to gather data on the users. So I guarantee you every AAA game already does this. They are checking to see what weapons you're playing, they're checking to see what monsters you're fighting, how often you win against those monsters. So we would have some way of knowing who's losing and why. Like, what is this player's playtime? What is this player's win-loss ratio to certain monsters? And then you would just check to know what is the win-loss ratio of this player to the most difficult monster in the game. Really straightforward. Elias says programming that monster would be so hard that it would take them months and it would be pretty expensive, so they may not do it. Yeah, I guess what you're tapping into is an issue of game development skill, right? Because if you have somebody who's skilled enough at understanding games, they will be able to create this quickly. And that's an issue I've talked about with BioWare. BioWare just needs to hire the best video game developers in the world, and that's it. And then their game will be good. Has nothing to do with being SJW. Has nothing to do with filling a diversity quota. It just who's the best at doing this. And a great example would be somebody who spent 22 years playing video games, who probably has a very intricate understanding of what actually makes a fight difficult. Somebody who's put thousands of hours into one video game will have a pretty intricate understanding of what's making a video game difficult. And I think that actually, you guys are in luck, because I believe Capcom actually has that. It's one of the reasons I believe in the game, because whenever they come out with a new monster, like the Ancient Leshen, it becomes really clear to me that, oh my gosh, they understand what's going on in my mind, and they understand how to force me to have to learn something new and to interact in a new way with that monster. Kumar says, have you played stuff like Battletoads? And I agree on Sekiro, FromSoft's hardest game, but it's fair. That the Souls games were moderately difficult, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, once you have the knowledge, they're not that hard. The first time you play them, they're a little shocking. Maxim says, how will you make temporal and clusters not working? It still will be the best strategy. You just nerf them. Somebody told me that clusters are nerfed in Iceborne, by the way, for those who didn't know. Central Gaming Z says, like Crash Bandicoot games and the difficulty adjust based on their skill level. No, probably nothing like that. It probably will be a static difficulty. It's not going to adjust. It's just going to be the most... I mean, this monster will be so difficult that it will make it into video gaming news. Video gaming news will complain because they can't defeat my monster. That's how difficult it will be. While Among Us says, lol, I just fought Behemoth and my whole team wiped to Ecliptic. We just finished Behemoth and I was reading your comments the whole time. I wasn't even looking at the screen. While Among Us says, good though, because I have to leave. A fan's perspective says, just ban Temporal Mantle from the fight. There are ways to get around Temporal Mantle. For example, Lunostra's heat damage actually ignores Temporal Mantle. The only reason Temporal Mantle works is because it flips when the flames go by. So you could just change the rules so that those flames don't cause the mantle to flip, and her ultimate would completely ignore that mantle. Darren M says, if you're going to have an OP monster that's almost impossible to beat but has amazing rewards, make it a bonus hidden monster you have to unlock somehow, like Midir from Dark Souls 3. He could be hidden. I don't think the point would be to hide him, though. Mike X says, you really have the monster object. You just need to add a new class with the new skill or attack to the monster and fire upon a specific criteria. I'm not sure I understood your comment. So let's see. Do we have the serious handler to talk to? Here she is. What you want is a 140 Teostra who, unless you know the thing of his supernova, you are dead. Capcom also watches YouTube and Reddit. They understand their audience. Very cool. Do you have proof of that? Scipio Africanus says, Ancient Leshen was probably the most fun and interesting fight in the game. He was very fresh. Patrick Lockridge says, I think a perfect way to describe what he's saying is to look at how he's playing. He can hold an entire conversation while fighting Behemoth. He wants to see a monster that will literally engulf him. Oh, exactly. Mesmezi says, you could make custom quests in Monster Hunter FU PPSSPP Online, and people made the kind of quests you're talking about. No, I don't want any kind of mod. I don't want any kind of community thing. This has to be legit, made by Capcom, with a legit Capcom reward behind it. People are talking about Frontier. There's a monster that insta-kills you, takes all your carts at once, wipes out your inventory, and you have to fight 90 Ds in a row to retry it. Well, that just sounds like punishment, honestly. Actually, there was a really interesting thing I learned from playing a lot of Destiny. One of the things that really surprised me about Destiny was there was no limit to how many times you could fight a really difficult boss in their raids. Instead, you actually ran out of time to fight the monster or to fight the boss in the raid. Somebody would have to leave, you would have to leave, something like that, right? You have to go eat dinner. So it was an interesting new way to gauge how long you're allowed to play. They didn't limit how much you were allowed to play. You could just keep going and going and going. And the real measure of how long you were allowed to fight this monster in the raid was just how much time you had, and that was it. Speaking of which, we would have raids. So if I was doing the end game, we would have raids, without a doubt. I don't know how they would look. I'd probably come up with something real fun, but we would have raids. We would have actual like story mode quest kind of things, and they would be in crazy, crazy environments with actual raid type bosses at the end. So those would be a thing, but those wouldn't be the most difficult monsters in the game. Those would just be like the end game monsters. For the most difficult monster in the game, it should be like the behemoth, where you can just fire up the quest anytime you want, and you're gonna get your ass kicked. No one will defeat my monster, and you'll all be mad. Mesmezi says, no, I'm saying it was excessively obnoxious when someone in a room posted something like a Jaggy upsized times 10 and damage times 100. So let's see. We defeat a behemoth. I guess we could just go for Draken Armor. Do you guys want to go for Draken Armor? Oh, here we go. What do we got here? A visitor from Eorza. We'll get this done real fast. Xavier, Evie, and Fatalis returns. Yeah, we'll just knock this guy out real fast again. Jump up to the canteen. Komar says, I don't have real proof, but people, for example, cried about the AT Zenigeva floor lava, and Capcom gave AT Cove a heat card leg piece. That's no coincidence. Oh, I see. See, but I wouldn't be like that. I don't really care if people didn't like how difficult my monster is. I would be like, that's tough. I'd be like, oh, I feel bad for you. Maybe you'll get him someday. And I'd make sure that the reward for defeating that really, really, really difficult monster, I'd make sure that the reward makes everyone else feel like they have a small peen. They'd be like, ah, dang, this guy's the alpha or something like that, right? So you'd be real frustrated because this guy would walk around with this amazing reward, and you'd be like, God, I don't have that reward. That's exactly what I would do. People would show it off. Very important. And we'd have 14 joke weapons in my version of the endgame of Monster Hunter Iceborne. 14 joke weapons, one weapon for each weapon class. Something that isn't too powerful, it just looks really goofy, so that you can go in and play and not be so serious. But yeah, I would want a monster so difficult that people talk about it because it's unbelievably difficult. See you later, Walmanga. Shadow says, I think it's funny that people think Sekiro is hard when it's probably the easiest FromSoft game. By the way, Gameconomist, a psycho confirmed. Gameconomist, the psychopath. What can I say? I like hot sauce and stinky fish. And I like to be punished when I play video games. And it means you're all going to be punished if I make your video games. It's going to be painful. Big Hippie says, I don't think this Apex monster is really possible. If it is skill-based, the speedrunners will learn and play around it. Gale and Madeir are good examples. Gale and Madeir are from Dark Souls 3, though. Dark Souls 3, you literally just learn the movement pattern and it's over. Drew Max says, they send pictures of the reward to interns at work. What? Interns at work. Personally, I don't like the silly looking weapons. I always avoided them. Well, Orion, they wouldn't like be the main thing. They wouldn't be like must-have weapons. They would just be a way for you to play goofy. You know what I mean? They would just be a way for you to play goofy. Like maybe a rubber mallet hammer. That'd be funny. Too early on the roll. Overcoming the near impossible was a staple of video games back in the Nintendo, Super Nintendo days. This needs to come back. It absolutely needs to come back. It doesn't have to be all you can do either. There can be multiple monsters to fight in the end game. It's just that there needs to be one where you fight it and then you go, man, I'm never doing this again. This was insane. And I feel like right now, Extreme Behemoth is that for Capcom, but he's not even difficult, man. Get 4 skilled players together, and Extreme Behemoth is not even difficult. You get Extreme Behemoth done in like 7 minutes. Monster I'm talking about would be so difficult that this would never happen. Did you just put the Charybdis on me? Get your Charybdis out of here. Oops, I guess I held that too long. You're talking advanced AI that requires a lot of work and money. You guys are just telling me it can't be done. I'm telling you, I would make it happen. I would make it happen. It can't be done. It's too difficult. I'd be like, this is happening or you're fired. Gameconomist, the manager. There's my AC. You gotta have that AC though. It's so hot now. That time of the year. Let's get a little... Oh, I'm surprised that didn't count as a slide there. Oh, we didn't drop it on him. That's too bad. AT Nerd question mark? What about him? He's easy. AT Nerd is easy. How many attempts did you need to kill Extremith for the first time? I don't know. Probably like 5. Trusty says, I can't even fight Extreme Behemoth. Man, I must be terrible at this game. Yeah, I think it took me about 5 tries. What if there was a team of 4 of me and I wasn't live streaming? I was just playing by myself quietly. How many times do you think I would beat that Extreme Behemoth? We would beat him like probably like 9 out of 10 times. Yeah, when I stream, I'm like reading your comments, I'm playing for an audience. When I play by myself, it's like way easier. All I do is shut my mouth and I focus on the game. I don't like explain what I'm doing, I don't talk about anything. I just play. So you guys don't really ever get to see me play that way because the only time you watch me play is when I'm live. But after like 3,000 hours, I'm not bad. Could you imagine, so 4 of me fighting Extreme Behemoth, he's easy. And if we used the cheesiest available method, like if we actually strategized, it just wouldn't even be a contest, really. We'd probably lose. We'd probably lose once or twice. Because, you know, stuff happens. It happens. Please stream Cove on PlayStation 4. Never found a lobby where anyone actually knew how to fight her. We'll probably have another Cove stream. I need more Cove weapons. I'm looking for the Sleep Hammer. Wow, all that was bad damage. Game Addict says, I don't want to be mean, but I sure as hell wouldn't want you designing my games. It's fair enough, because you would... Oh, I think I just KO'd him. It's fair enough, because I would make that game so difficult for you. No lying. Oh my god. I can't believe I just messed up that roll too. Kamar says, yeah, the RNG of Extreme Behemoth is horrible sometimes, but with my dedicated group, he was manageable. Oh, he's going to the next stage. I was hoping I wouldn't actually hit that comment. James Dice says, so, at your logic, all monsters, bosses, challenges, getting B... What are you saying? Easy, ES getting B easy over time. What? What are you talking about? Don't know what you mean, man. Lynx says, what Gameconomist is talking about reminds me of certain bosses from the Atlas games where if you don't follow a certain strat, you'll die. Even following the strat is 50-50 due to RNG random AI. I'm not talking about random AI. You guys know some of the best chess players in the game can't beat a computer at chess? I'm talking about that. Right? I'm talking about something like that. It doesn't have to be like, oh yeah, the monster one-shots you randomly. It doesn't have to be that way. It has to be about having a monster that's actually really, really good. Like this behemoth right now, what he could do rather than just... I can tell he's running on a script that says use this move, use that move. I would make this extreme behemoth actually run away from us for once and kind of chill on the outside edge of the closest player. So whichever player is closest to him, I would make him reposition himself to be to have that player between him and the rest of the group. So even just surrounding the monster would be extremely challenging because the monster would constantly reposition itself to keep you guys as far away from him as he can, but to have him have one player in the range of him. This is extremely important because when you get surrounded, so like for example, I played a great deal of Dark Souls Invasions. You lose to a group When you allow the group to surround you, that's when you lose. So my monster would go, okay, where are all the players? Which player is furthest from the group? How can I reposition myself to be between that player in the group so that the group is as far away as possible, but that one player is close to me? See, so Nergigante already kind of does this. Nergigante, one of the things Nergigante does is he jumps between characters very quickly, but that's not the same. Nergigante's just picking one character to aggro, and then the script tells him, smash that character and move on to the next player. My monster would say, which character can I attack without being in the range of anyone else? That's what my monster would do. And that alone would make him insanely difficult. That alone would make him insanely difficult. And how about this? My monster actually heals. How about that? So if you allow my monster to get far enough away from you, he heals to full health. Ooh. There you go. Monster's like 1,000 times more difficult right there. My monster heals to full health if you let him get far enough away. And when he is hurting, he actually tries to get away from you. Now, I wouldn't make it impossible to keep up with him, but I would make it so that he gets away from the fight occasionally at random. Random's not the right word. He gets away from the fight when he knows you're on your recovery frames for your attack to try and heal himself. So if you go into a move that he knows is going to have a large recovery frame, he actually is able to back off and heal. So if he did it at random, that wouldn't be good enough. That wouldn't be difficult enough. It's better for the monster to know when you're going to have a high recovery frame because of recovery time, because of which attack you chose, and then he punishes you for using that attack by going and healing. So that's how smart my monster would be. My monster would not be defeatable. NMB says, aren't you an economist? You would ruin Capcom's economy because only hardcore gamers would play that game. No, I mean, there'd be plenty of other things to do, NMB. There would be plenty of other things to do. But I'm saying, I would have an undefeatable monster in my game. What else? So now my monster actually avoids the group and attacks one player at a time carefully. Also, the other thing my monster does now is my monster checks for when you've used a long attack when he's not crowd controlled, and he jumps away from you and heals. So he's already crazy. He's already much more difficult than anything we have in World. Panoctic says, you want a person controlling the monster lol. No, I mean, it would just run a script. So let's say he's fighting a player who has the Charge Blade, and my monster isn't juggled currently, and that Charge Blade user uses Sade. So while the Sade's coming out, rather than attacking the Sade player, my monster would actually turn around and move out of the range of Sade and then begin healing. And the heal would actually be substantial. So you'd be immediately punished for using Sade when the monster is in a neutral position. So you're no longer allowed to use Sade or any other slow move while the monster is in a neutral position. This is exactly how it would work in a PvP game as well. If you have the ability to heal, and you see your opponent winding up a long, stupid move like Sade, you'd go, oh, you're winding that up? I'm just going to move out of the way of it, and I'm going to punish that with a heal. So that's what my monster would do, and it would just be way smarter. Suddenly, the monster would be very, very hard to kill, because you couldn't just spam Sade anymore. You couldn't spam it. The only time you could spam Sade is when the monster is properly crowd controlled. And if you did use Sade, the monster just stays healed, and you will never defeat him. So already, this level of complexity would be added that's hard to imagine because you guys have never really fought a tough monster in World. All these monsters are easy. These monsters are so easy that you have people competing for a world record of like 5 minutes dead. Kamar says, yeah, makes sense. The survival instinct of monsters in Monster Hunter World is very underdeveloped. That monster would be awesome. Exactly. You know, it's crazy because we as hunters, we have heals, and what do we do when we're almost dead? Got it. What do we do when we're almost dead? We run away and heal. Oh, and that's the other thing. If you go into a heal animation, my monster would immediately target you. So if my monster wasn't in the middle of a long... If my monster wasn't locked into a long attack animation, he would stop what he is doing, and the moment you hit that heal button, he goes directly for you to kill you. So anytime you try to heal, you immediately gain the aggro of my monster. So my monster would be all about killing you. Unless the monster believes he can't one-shot you in the next move. So if my monster knows that he can't one-shot you in the next move, he'll continue doing whatever his current script is. But if he believes he can one-shot you while you're attempting a heal, he will come kill you in one shot. So already we have 3 scripts that my monster would have that would make him like 10 times more difficult than any of the monsters in the world. His positioning would be like 10 times smarter. His positioning would be 10 times smarter. He would heal anytime you use a move that is a very slow move. And he would target you immediately if he believed he could kill you on a heal. And you would just not be allowed to heal. Oh, here we are. Fans Perspective says, Gameconomist, quote, my monster is basically God. He wouldn't be God, though. That's the funny... Did we just lose? Oh, no. Alright, I guess we'll try that again. My monster wouldn't be God. My monster would require you to do a lot more thinking. Does that make sense? So when you play this game, artificial difficulty is fighting a sponge. Real difficulty is having to react and think about what you're doing. Game Addict, my monster is God, and with just and with just one word, instantly kills you. James Dice says, to the Sade problem, you would kill him with fast attacks. Well, let me say this. So flinch would still be in the game. And crowd controls would still be in the game. So you would be allowed to use a Sade on him when he's been knocked over, when he's been mounted, when he's been put to sleep, when he's been paralyzed. So there would still be an opportunity to use Sade. But my monster, if you're just using Sade and my monster's in a neutral position, right, he's just standing there, he would be like, you're not going to hit me with the Sade. That would be stupid as hell. I'm moving away from your Sade. And while you're in your animation, I'm actually going to heal for a lot. So you get punished for using Sade while I'm in a neutral position. And that's exactly what would happen in an actual PvP game. If you see your opponent and he's standing there like an idiot, charging up some super slow move that's never going to land, you would be like, nah, F that. You'd be like, I'm going over here. Or he'd like snipe you with the move that has greater range than Sade, right? Something like that. He'd be like, I'm moving over here. F that. Saw Cruz says, honestly, I would love to fight that monster you speak of. Well, that's the thing. I think a lot of people are opposed to difficulty in video games because, it can be frustrating to lose. But also, if a game wasn't difficult enough, it would be a boring game. So difficulty is a good thing as long as there are other things for your players to do other than just be smashed by one monster. Omnirath says, with whatever monster Gameconomist is talking about creating, the whole game would have to be rebalanced. Nah, we wouldn't allow rebalancing. The weapons would remain the same. Nothing really says, I'm going to go for a while, or I was gone for a while. Did they fail? We did actually fail. James Dice says, instead of a monster that's always this clever, make more it learns from the previous hunts. Well, no, I don't think it would be. If you guys want to talk about something being too time-consuming and expensive, making a fight where the monster learns is probably still too expensive. I think just having proper scripts for the monster to follow that makes sense from somebody who actually really understands difficulty very well, that alone would increase the difficulty to an appropriate level. Right, like, so what makes Extreme Behemoth so difficult is definitely just the Ecliptic Meteor, right? What is Ecliptic Meteor? It's just this one shot. That's all it is. It actually just killed my team here. So get rid of the one-shot mechanic, and it turns out the Behemoth and the Extreme Behemoth aren't even difficult. They're easy. They're very easy, actually, if you got rid of the one-shot mechanic. You could make an argument that Extreme Behemoth is still kind of difficult, right? So just get rid of that one-shot mechanic, and you see that the Behemoth is not that big of a deal. In my fight, there wouldn't be a one-shot mechanic of that type where it's just like, well, did you protect the comet? My monster would actually just be very smart. Central Gaming says, but what happens to slow weapons? You would be forced to use that fast weapon so that he doesn't run and heal. I would say that that's not true. You would just have to be more careful with the timing of your slow attacks. So with the Switch Axe, you would be forced to use moves that make more sense. For example, let's say when he goes to heal, what he does is a small hop, right? He does a small hop out of the way, and then he begins the heal animation. Well, if you want to use Charge Blade Sade, let's say that if you get directly underneath the monster, that hop doesn't carry him out of the range of the Sade. So the monster wouldn't be able to get out of the range of the Sade in order to heal. Something like that. But the heal mechanic would be a big deal because monsters in these fights, a Behemoth only heals if no one's in the room, which is idiotic. because nobody's. It's rare, but usually somebody's there. Somebody's there usually. So they have the right idea, but they're not really implementing it in a serious way. I'm about to get smashed. Nope, he didn't get me. Oh, good. Fiver's Hunter World. You start as monster of your choice and hunt any Fiver that comes to hunt you. Oh, I missed. Another thing I would like to see in the actual monster fights is more of a speed increase. So we saw Arch-Tempered Nergigante. Arch-Tempered Nergigante, the aerial slam was pretty fast and everyone was annoyed by it. If you could get the aerial slam to come out about twice as fast, I think that would be more appropriate, because that is much harder to react to. The funny thing about the aerial slam is after you fight it for a while and you learned, you know, he can punish you if you go into a slow attack. The thing is, once you learn about it, it's actually very easy to roll the aerial. Well, it's kind of easy to roll the aerial slam. I would make a move that is so fast you're not just going to roll out of it. You really have to have the reaction speeds to get away from that move. So I would love to see faster attack speeds on these monsters, like truly fast. And what if you're fighting like a rattlesnake in the wild? How fast is that rattlesnake? He's blindingly fast. So even increasing the... Hold on. You still get hit because there's two parts to that attack, and I was too close. I was too deep into it. So there's different ways to make movesets on a monster complex, right? And one of them is to increase the reaction speed for that attack. So I feel that monster attacks in World have been abysmally slow, and I would change that so that they're actually extremely fast. And then what I would probably do is I would probably increase... I would decrease the timing that move is active so that you can consistently roll it, but the real question is, did you react to it? So if you reacted to it in time, you got the roll on it, but if you didn't react in time, you definitely did not get the roll on it. He's just going to smash you. So something about twice as fast as aerial slam seems appropriate. Aerial slam is like, once you figure it out, there's a very clear pathway to avoiding it. And then you have moves like Zenigieva's concentric ring attack. That was actually a good addition to the game because that move, it's not fast, it's the other way around. It's complex. It requires you to stop and think more while you're trying to avoid it, right? You have to think about where the next ring is going to be and where the rings are going to be placed. So that's a move that tests your ability to understand the spacing and the timing of the move in a more complex way. And we would add a lot more moves like that. There would be a lot more moves like that, but maybe they would be faster. Oh gosh. Oh, he's mad. Alright, there we go. NMB says, what you want is Dauntless. No, I don't want Dauntless. Why would you compare those two games? Oh. I'm about to get smashed by a meteor. By comet. Oh, I'm still alive. Alright, we're still in. You can't make a monster you yourself cannot defeat. I mean, you can, but that's dumb. Why would that be dumb? Oh. I will want to hear all the salty tears of everyone who can't defeat my monster. All the salty tears. And it would be a bug, by the way. The monster would be a bug. Just because I like bugs. I'm a big bug fan. Bugs are like creepy. Bugs don't have feelings, you know? You don't think, oh, it's going to go back to its nest. You think, oh, it's going to eat its babies if it's hungry. That's what you think of bugs. Bugs are crazy. We would have some scary moves on that monster. Grab the temporal mantle. They should just add Gameconomist as a monster. The goal of that monster would be just to be so difficult that no one can defeat him. That would basically be the goal. if you're not designing at least one monster in your game to be that way, then you're missing out, man. You're missing out on epic gaming moments. That was terrible timing on me. I was out of the inside ring of that tail attack, but I was still on the outer ring of the tail attack. I want him to come out from over there. I don't like fighting him in that corner. The Too Fat For You says, I think the difficulty is high enough in Monster Hunter World. More experienced players can always equip themselves with worse gear or give them challenges like no. Who actually does that though? The Too Fat For You. Who actually does that? We did that in our Turf Wars, and you know what? I think that it was novel at first, but then people were tired of it. They're like, you know, I don't want to use bad armor. I want to use good armor. So I even experienced that. I participated a lot in the Turf Wars, and there was a point where I was like, you know, I actually want to use my best armor and my best weapons. It's like, you can have that experience if you just play naked and you use the starter weapons, and then you just use that against Extreme Behemoth. It's like, nobody wants to do that though. That's not actually fun. It will be so difficult. Actually, also, that's like the definition of artificial difficulty, because all we'd be doing is making it so that the monster can one-shot us, and we'd be lowering our damage output, which is the same as increasing the health bar of the monster. It's just the other side of the same equation. So what you're describing really is artificial difficulty, and nobody wants that, right? I think a little bit of the artificial difficulty is allowed. I think a little bit, but you can't rely on it like a crutch to make your monsters difficult. That's the trick, you know what I mean? Smack that. Oh, nothing, apparently. We'll run over here. Snowing Steak says, I'd prefer an endgame that got steadily increasing difficulty ending with an extreme super boss. Bottom Tech says, him being able to do it fast doesn't mean he understands LnHbnNHnCbc. Gabby Collins says, you didn't read my comment correctly, but good for you. Redacted. Scibio Africana says, but a Cantor said it was his subjective opinion. Link says, roulettes? I don't know what you mean. Is he exhausted? Oh, he's exhausted. Bro. Give me that good aerial damage. If I can get another aerial going. Gameconomist, any advice on killing Stygian Zenogre and Brachiodos G-Rank together on Monster Hunter 4U, trying to complete G-Rank solo? No, I do not. I have zero advice. I have not done that myself. Oh, he's mad. Gameconomist for Iceborne. Iceborne would have famously the most intelligent and difficult monsters that you've ever fought in your life. And you would be like, holy shit. These guys are not defeatable. What are you doing? Oh! Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Oh, that hurts. Here's another thing that Capcom doesn't really do with these monsters. You can see I can pretty much hit the monster anywhere on their body and it does great damage. I would make it so that you could barely hit the monster in his weak spots. I think that's a little bit what they did with Lunastra, but it would be more satisfying than Lunastra. My monster would have actual small weak zones, like you would have to shoot it in the head for damage, and that would be a fast moving head. Because this behemoth, he's a chunky boy. You just hit him anywhere, basically. I can hit him in the forearms, the forelegs, the head, the tail if you're using the right weapon. Do we not have any meteors? I don't have my gestures set. Wow, what happened? Did we not set any meteors? We let all the meteors break? It's because I'm not paying attention. Dang, guys! Alright, we gotta set the Final Fantasy emote. That's what that means. You take away that one-shot mechanic, and Behemoth and Extreme Behemoth are pushovers. Central Gaming says, Gameconomist, what about a monster that mimics the attacks and weaknesses of others, and it randomizes which one it mimics throughout the fight so no run is the same? Yeah, I don't really know how that would work, or I don't feel like that would feel very natural. That would feel kind of weird. James Dice says, even if his monster is super duper hard, at one point, people will begin to call it easy because they beat it over 1,000 times. A human changes always. Wallamanga says, I'm just appalled at how he complains about Arch-Temper Nurg, but never complained about actually broken monsters in past games. Game Addict says, his attacks will cover the entire map. He will attack you while you are in the tent. Did you just start the quest one shot? Actually, that kind of describes the Behemoth a little bit, doesn't it? Alright, guys, we actually have to defeat the Behemoth this time, guys. Seriously. Or Orion says, I want to see Gameconomist fight Plesioth so bad. Alright, so we're going to do a little thing. We're going to add the jump to our radio menu now. Get rid of the Wigny sign. Final Fantasy jump. There we go. Abdil says, my condolences to Etika's family. He looked like a nice guy, even though I didn't watch his videos. It was very sad. There's not a lot we can do now. It's just how it's going to be now. If you sit down at the canteen, you're invincible. Imagine bringing an elemental weapon to a fight that has randomizing elemental weaknesses. Eat a meal. We'll have the chef's choice platter once again. Oh, we already plugged it up. How many people are in this quest, by the way? We have a whole room of people. Fatalis, I know you were just in the previous one. I'm gonna let somebody else have a turn. Sorry, Fatalis. You've been in like the last two, I think. Sorry about that, Fatalis. We're gonna give somebody else a try. Oh, Cal already joined. I think that's just fair. Link says, I would give every monster an AT from in Master Rank. You can farm them to unlock weapon armor transmog exclusives to that monster as well as Omega versions of their armor. Cameron said, what if the monster could change its element? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can change, but I'm thinking distinctly in terms of what actually increases the difficulty, not just like fun ideas. Like you could implement all kinds of things, but having a monster that's smarter is alone really all you need. Let's see what Kale's bringing. Are they all doing horns? I think they're all doing horns. Nope, there's one longsword. They're all bringing hunting horns. That means we're not going to do any damage, guys. I'm just teasing. Orion says, all monsters that made me rage quit. Gravios, Tigrix, Kushala Daora, Blaganga, Raytheon, Shogun, Senator, and Kirin. L Channel says, greetings from Cuba. How's it going, L Channel? Jezion says, nothing really kind of like... Oh, I see. He's talking to somebody else. Monster intelligence. How do you improve monster AI? By making them sneaky snakes. A normal human who understands the game and knows how to be a monster. That's right. Let's put on the powerful bandit mantle. Oh, I missed the roll. What is hard and what is easy in the first place in Monster Hunter games? There's a great deal of knowledge that you need in the Monster Hunter games. The vast majority of difficulty is just in your lack of knowledge of the game. And once you have a knowledge of the game, it actually becomes significantly easier. Like way easier. And the reality is a lot of these monsters are just kind of like walking sponges with a very basic script that's telling the monster to attack. Oh, we still got hit by the... The other thing that's making this game very difficult is your iframes. You basically get a very small iframe. So even if you predict the monster's attack, your timing on the roll has to be near perfect. Oh, I was hoping we'd get a stagger on him. Oh, there's my AC. What's the reason for using Bandit Mantle in this fight? I've got nothing else to wear. I guess I could have the Vitality Mantle. Alright, we're good. What do you think you're doing there? Oh, he is knocked down. Nice job. Father Owl from Sekiro was a good example of difficulty done right. There were some easy scripted moves, but others like the overhead smash that changed depending on how you react. Well, Sekiro, you know, the difficulty in Sekiro was heavily based around reaction speeds of the player and memorizing your opponent's moveset, right? So a lot of Sekiro was just that. There's different kinds of difficulty, and one of the trickiest kinds of difficulty to overcome in a fight is when the monster is actually, or whatever you're fighting, is actually very intelligent, right? Ah, dang it. Ooh, we lost Eevee. Be careful, guys. Guess I didn't have that charged. Oh, I got smacked again. Alright, third comet, I mean. Put on this temporal mantle real fast. Gameconomist literally on fire. We're good. This is fine. I love it when the blast procs. My monster will attack you with unskippable ads. There we go. How's it going, Minx? Elias Moran asks, what if they do a hardcore mode, delete your count if you die, so you would have to be careful? Nah, I don't really like that. I don't really like those kind of, where you just lose all your progress. That's annoying. I'm not into that at all. Like I said, if I created the most difficult monster in Iceborne, you would be able to easily queue up that monster and try over and over again. It wouldn't be this like whole you gotta trog through 5 easy fights to get to this one hard fight. Nothing like that. Gosh dang it. Is this extreme? No, this is the regular behemoth. Can you believe we've lost 2 of these now, Minx, because in stage 4 we died to the ecliptic meteor? It wasn't my fault the first time. The second time, there was just no meteor and I didn't have the Final Fantasy emote equipped on my character, so I had absolutely no chance to try and jump it. What you are describing for a new monster kind of reminds me of Furious Rajang. You need to fight him solo and comment about his difficulty. Remove this. What do you think about the fast downfall of mental health in these days? I think you're asking me what oh, I'm gonna get hurt. I think you're asking me about how people are struggling more with depression and they're struggling more with anxiety, and I would actually label another one resentment. I would label that one as well. Anxiety, depression, and resentment. I think it's pretty straightforward. We have a lot more hedonistic tendencies in modern day, except hedonism, how do I describe it? Hedonism, every time you have a good high from whatever it is you're doing, video games, food, sex, drugs, TV, whatever it is that makes you feel good, you always need a better high next time. And in the pursuit of reaching higher and higher highs, you kind of become desensitized to things that we used to find normal and happy. You become desensitized to it. You're always seeking a bigger high, and you can't find it eventually. That's the real problem. So there will be a point in our hedonistic consumer society where you just cannot find what you're looking for. You're not going to find the good feelings that you want. And at that point, you're going to be depressed, you're going to have anxiety, and you're going to feel resentful. And that's a lot of it. And then I think there was a complete breakdown of the family structure that I think is harmful for both men and women, not just men. You hear about people who are like incels or whatever, and they're all mad. But I think it's actually very damaging for girls as well. In fact, it might be even more damaging for girls. The introduction of social media has been a big deal. Oh. And just a lot of things, you know, people are poor, that's the other thing. If you were rich, it's hard to be sad when you're rich. And even when you are sad and rich, you can kind of go and get help for it. But if you're sad and you're poor, you can't get help for it, and you don't have a lot of options, you know what I mean? Orion says, dude, I'm pretty sure mental health was always bad. That's not true, actually, Orion. People today have clearly increased in suicides. Suicides is a really, how do you say it? It's not as abstract as other things to measure. Like, you can measure the number of depression cases that have been found recently, right, or recorded. There we go. You can count for that, but people can say, oh, maybe it's just a case of over-diagnosing, or maybe it's just because we diagnose more. So people will argue with that, but one thing you can't argue with is the amount of suicides that have occurred. So the suicide rate has gone up, and I think it's a combination of the things that I just mentioned. There's more hedonism, there's less family and community, the family structure is gone, like the whole get married, have children, that's gone. That's gone. People don't believe in that stuff at all anymore. I don't think people even believe in, I think a lot of religion has actually gone away. So you might be kind of like religious, right? But you're not actually a conservative Christian. You're not. You might be more like one of those fake liberal Christians that goes, oh yeah, loved for everyone, right? God loves you. God was not a loving God. If you look in the Bible, this dude went to war and he killed people. And he had really strict rules. He's like, do this, right? He was a conservative God. But our religions today cast him as a very liberal God because these religions are competing for your money. All the religions you see today, they're trying to be more open and accepting because the larger congregation they're capable of holding, the more money they make. So you don't have the good old conservative Christians that say, you can't do this crap anymore because it's bad for you. They don't say that stuff anymore. They just kind of say, we accept everyone and we love everyone. So all kinds of breakdowns of societal structures we used to have, and the question is, what can we get away with? You know, like what conservative ideas can we live without, and which ones are actually affecting our quality of life? So that's really, it's a tough question, and I would say right now we're living in a time where nobody really knows the answer to that question. But what we do know is that there's a lot more depression, there's a lot more anxiety, there's more suicide, so all those things. Let's smack him in the head. What would you feel if your monster caused suicide rates to increase? I would... That's like a trick question, because I want it to be very difficult, but I don't want people to commit suicide. So do not commit neck rope ever. It's bad. It's bad for you. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna pull this over here. All right, I'm pretty sure we have it this time. That's a silly question. It's like a trap question. Nice job on the crowd controls there. That looks like it's going to be KO. Yeah, it's KO. Can we get it? Yeah, nice. Preach, my brother, says Atashi. Dude, you gotta be kidding me. He's picking me so much. Generation Z was a mistake. Just let them natural selection. What? What are you talking about? J-Rom Man says, well, looks like Gameconomist is about to get demonetized. Yep, that's exactly what will probably happen. If you guys ever want to support my channel, be sure to give me $1 on Patreon. It costs very little for you to do that, and if a lot of people do it, then I am safe from the demonetization corporation. I don't know what to call it. But yeah, $1 on Patreon. If a lot of people do that, it's very low cost for you, and it makes a big impact on my life. Alternatively, you could become a member of the channel. That's what the guys with the green names, they're members of the channel. You can, or just do whatever you want, honestly. You can just keep watching my videos. You don't have to give me anything, to be honest. But the truth that, yeah, a lot of my streams have become demonetized because I'm willing to talk about touchy subjects. And corporations are not willing to talk about touchy subjects. They do not like that. They go, we don't talk about touchy subjects because we want people to be happy with our brands. People need to be happy and smiley, and they need to spend money on my brand. That's what the corporations say. And if you tell people consumerism is bad, the corporations definitely don't like that. You don't want to have like a Coca-Cola commercial playing in the Gameconomist stream where he says, stop buying Coca-Cola, because that's really bad. Demonetization time. Nice, guys. We finally got it. Hey, we got an Elementless jewel, guys. Look at that. Elementless. Is all I needed. Oh, man. That is a big improvement. Rosa says, my friend believes rope neck is a very ignorant choice. What's your opinion? Well, yeah, it's just, it's hard to call it a choice, Rosa. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to call it a choice. Usually what's going on is you're in enough pain where you're not making rational choices anymore. Does that make sense? So depression is usually, you know, when you're talking about rope neck, you're in enough pain that you are going to make irrational decisions in life, including, you know, rope necking yourself off. So that's the problem. The question is, how do you make people feel better? How do you fix that in them? And it's a complex question. And the answer is probably going to cost a lot of money, or it's going to cost a lot of altruism, which people don't have these days. People are not altruistic anymore. Altruism, of course. Hey, thanks, Patrick Lockridge. Patrick is a new member of the channel. What was I going to say? Altruism is when you kind of give yourself to the community. You contribute to the community, even though you're not really doing it for any reason other than you're a good person. It's hard to do that. You kind of have to at least believe in the community. You have to be at that point where you at least believe in the community. So, and it's hard to get people that way these days because, I don't know, there's a lot of division. People are more selfish these days. There's a lot of narcissism these days, right? And by the way, I feel like people have two different understandings of how narcissism works. But we just use the term, so I'm going to use the term. Yeah, people are more narcissistic these days. There's a big focus on the individual self and not on the good of the community. So we don't want to spend money on people who have psychological problems, and we don't want to reach out and be altruistic toward people who need help either. And how do you fix that, right? How do you fix that? It's very hard to fix it. In the past, when everyone was one religion, it wasn't that hard. Let me explain why. It's because when everyone worships the same tree, there is already a sense of community there. But when there's 14 different trees and everyone's worshiping a different tree, and you're all going, my tree's right, your tree's wrong, it actually causes a lot of division very quickly and fighting and war, stuff like that. So it's actually very interesting the way it all works. But we can't agree on trees anymore. Let's go to attack power. What does attack power give us? I think the QR blast is still stronger. How about this? Oh yeah, it's still stronger. So we don't need the elementalist right now. What about this? Paralysis 840. Oh, we're gonna stick with this hammer. Look at the U.S. president. Okay. If I look at him, what will I see? Girls are basically cuter boys without pee-pee. Wow, we're getting deep in here. All right. Well, I think we'll play a little more. I'm actually still in the mood to play this character. I say that we play Tempered Investigations now. So if you're listening to this stream, why don't you tell me what you're going to post, and I will try to join that. I'm going to go down and look and see what I have in the trade yard. I might have a good one. Thanks again, Patrick, for becoming a member of the channel and supporting my talking. Orion says, did you study philosophy or something? Well, I have a 4-year degree. The degree involved 2 courses in philosophy, 2 courses in psychology, whole bunch of whole bunch of biology and physics and all that good stuff. Because when you get a job in programming, you might be working for a hospital who needs a software for their stuff, or you might be working in any number of fields. So you take all these science courses, and that's my degree. It's a degree in science, computer science. So I've been introduced to a lot of these things, but then also I have my own opinions on them as well. So, and you just kind of develop opinions on things over time. Also, the stuff that I like to talk about. These are actually the things I spend a lot of time thinking about because they're important. I feel like Basil Hughes. I personally feel like one of the biggest problems in society is actually the breakdown of the family. It's something that people were always worried about. Like, we always knew it was going to be a problem. And now it's happening, right? The problems are here, and everyone's like, what's wrong? What's going wrong? We can't figure it out. It's like, what are you talking about? We've known we've known what's wrong the whole time. If you don't have a mom and dad, or a mom and dad is a druggie, or mom and dad hate each other, you're going to have a messed up life, and you're going to have anxiety, and you're going to have depression, and you're going to feel resentful toward the world until you have somebody who's a proper mom and dad for you. You know what I mean? And then when you finally feel like you're in the right spot, this is one of the interesting things about religions. So the whole like God character in the Bible, in the Quran, in the Torah, he's your dad, right? He's usually depicted as like a dad figure. And when your dad in the real world sucks, because a lot of people have sucky dads, that's the truth. When your dad sucks, you can still turn to the spiritual figure of the father and be like, well, this guy wants me to be a good person. He wants me to succeed. He wants me to be happy. And so you're able to, like, through your religion, you're able to still be a good man. But when you've got a sucky dad and you're not religious anymore, you're just kind of like on your own, you know? You're whatever the internet turns you into, and the internet turns you into some strange stuff. Maybe you make an exception if you're hearing me say this right now. Mink says, causing them to fall victim to drug dealers who are pushing meth onto them, inevitably leading to many of these drug addicts to kill each other. Yes, drugs are a big problem. You know, I'm in favor of legalizing marijuana, but the truth is there are still a lot of extremely harmful drugs out there. I'm not in favor of legalizing those, and you just don't want to have to deal with them. They're sucky drugs. They're really bad for you. They destroy your brain. Even marijuana is not necessarily good for your brain. Let's see if I can join any of these. Let's go to investigations. Aw, your hunter rank isn't high enough. HR 50 or higher. Interesting. Interesting, interesting. So let's see, what do we got? We're hunter rank 42. All right, well, let's grind some gems then. What do we got? Pink Raytheon is unimportant. Give me an important one. Here's a Kushala Daura. He's not actually that important either, though, to tell you the truth. Lunastra is important. We're going to go Lunastra. Lunastra time, everyone. Yeah, so religions used to give you a spiritual father that you could turn to when your real-life father kind of sucked, and then you could still come out a good person, and you don't really have that anymore because people aren't religious anymore. Rosa says, I've always liked to listen to your discussions because you actually know what you're on about. Oh, thank you, Rosa. Eating crab wontons, life's so good. Oh my god, Wellamanga. Did you know after yesterday's stream, I actually did take my wife out to the Chinese restaurant, and we had delicious wonton soup. Ming says, you're not just praying to him, though. Our Father who is in... is also a prayer to your ancestors. Tiny Tenor says, oh no, GE is a pothead. No wonder he won't get a normal job. It's a funny assumption, Tiny Tenor. I have smoked 0 pot in my life, and I've eaten 0 pot in my life. I have no criminal record. I'm actually a goody two-shoes, and that's how I got through. And you should all be goody two-shoes too, by the way, because being cool is stupid. Having a job that you love is awesome. Also, it's a very easy sell to if you want a nice girlfriend who wants to be your wife. If you tell her, look, I don't do, if you tell her dad, I don't do drugs, I don't break the law, and I have a nice job, you're in. You know what I mean? You're in. So if your parents haven't told you to not be an idiot, I'm telling you to not be an idiot. I don't know why people find it so hard sometimes. It's really shocking. It's kind of like driving, isn't it? When you drive a car, you're going like 70 down the highway, and you look over, and somebody's also going 70, or they're like going 80, and they're like playing Candy Crush on their phone. You're like, dude, you're an idiot. How can you be so stupid? It's because they don't know what it looks like when you die in a car accident. If you've never seen that, by the way, guys, you need to go see what it looks like to actually die. Not like, oh, read the news article. They're like, 2 dead. No, go like see actual people who are not alive anymore and see what they look like from a car crash. It will horrify you so much, you will never text and drive again. You have to actually go see real people who have passed away from that terrible decision of doing Candy Crush and driving 80 down the highway. And yeah, every day when I drive, you just look over and there's people texting and driving at the same time. Just bad decisions in life. Bad choices. Bad choices. You got to make the right choices in life. People act like they got to have their hands held on some things, and it's just like, no, you just got to not be an idiot. It's like some stuff is like, I don't know, man. Maybe people are so addicted to their screens and so kind of like they have like this lowered sense of consciousness because they're, I don't know, enjoying Imgur or something like that. You don't think straight. I don't know what to say. Some people just don't think straight. The guys I see going down the highway texting and they're going 80 miles an hour, they're like in a speeding bullet. And they die if that bullet crashes, and somebody else probably does too. It's crazy. Patrick says, I didn't start off a good boy, but I figured it out. I'm glad to hear that, Patrick Lockridge. That's kind of how it goes too, by the way. We're all kind of born, a little crazy. Kids are crazy, man. Kids, they don't have any concept of sharing. They don't have any concept of like how they affect the people around them. Kids are just that way. I'm especially familiar with that because I had so many siblings. Kids are selfish, man. But the point is, you're supposed to get older and you're supposed to become more aware of other people. You're supposed to kind of gain that conscious awareness. I read your comment, Reza. I'm not going to read that out loud. That's too strange. Orion says, I once worked with a woman who had her husband and kid rope necks by drunk drag racers. That sucked. Yes, we hear about it all the time. One of the things that gets talked about, I'm guaranteed to be demonetized. This whole stream will get me no money at all. So I know we talk all the time about gun control, and I'm for whatever's going to reduce the number of people who have passed away, right? But one thing we do not talk enough about is how many people pass away from driving accidents. And it's some shocking number that you've probably no idea how bad it really is. It's like 40,000 people a year, which, by the way, totally eclipses people who have passed away from gun violence, including people who die like in mass shootings, right? The number of people who die in car accidents is and you all probably kind of knew it, right? You're like, that doesn't surprise me when you hear about it. But it's like, we just don't talk about it. We don't talk about it at all. If you want to see somebody who's passed away in your local whatever city or town you live in, just look up whoever crashed last. They passed away. And because it's a, quote, accident, we don't really care. We're like, oh, that sucks. What an accident. But it's like, dude, he's dead. She's passed away. You did the car. And then people just go blazing down the highway with their phones out. It is one of my biggest pet peeves, actually, really. How can we be so focused on an important issue of like gun control? We're very focused on it, but we aren't going just crazy over the number of car crashes, fatal car crashes, life-changing car crashes that happen every day on our roads. We don't talk about it enough, and yet it's one of the most damaging, horrible things that happens in our societies. It's really nuts. That's a pet peeve of mine. If you didn't know that about me, I think a lot about car crashes. And if you'd like to know, I've never been in a car crash in 12 years. No, not a single car crash. Very, very careful driver. Although when I was 18, I was a little stupid, but that was only for a short while. Roman says, that's why I don't drive. Well, you won't die in a car crash if you don't drive. Yeah, we don't talk enough about the 40,000 people that died in 2017 to car crashes. This was in the U.S. In some countries, it's even worse, because in the U.S., we actually have fairly strict rules about driving. Some countries aren't quite as strict, and they have like even worse car crash deaths, like their numbers, right, for the amount of population they have. It's absolutely nuts that we don't talk about it. Slowsty says, in Belgium, they estimated that 1/3 of people are on their phone from time to time in the car. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds close to what I see. I would say is somewhere between 1/3 and 1/4 of all the people I see driving are actually looking down at a phone. And it's just like, you realize you're in a metal machine going 80 miles an hour, and the machine weighs over 2,000 pounds, right? It's like driving a bullet that will kill you and someone else. And you're just like playing Candy Crush. You're so... I don't know what to do about it, man. And then you hear about the 40,000 people that are dead in 1 year, and we just don't talk about it. What the hell? Everyone's super concerned about gun control, and that's an important subject too, but it's like, we should be having like a national day of mourning for the number of people that have died in a single day from car crashes, and we should be having that every day. It's that bad. 40,000 people, guys. False. You can't die by car crash without driving. You're right, Jizzy, and you could actually just be run over and not be driving. Lucas says, here in Germany, we don't even have a tempo limit. I think he means a speed limit. I'm kind of insecure about driving on the highway the first time once I save the money for doing my license. Yeah, I can understand that. I think a lot of people are nervous about driving on the highway for the first time. It's a pretty normal feeling. I remember being a little nervous myself. Statistically, U.S. has developing country worse than average in terms of road safety, though. I don't know if that's true. I would have to look it up. In Canada, it's illegal to have your phone and drive. It should be that way everywhere. People on their phones in the car absolutely trigger me. It's insane. Yeah, it's really crazy. So, I only started talking about the whole issue with car crashes and people passing away in car crashes and the crazy numbers of people. Really go look it up. Like, compare it to gun violence, you will be shocked how bad the car accidents are. And we don't have days of mourning for, like, if in one day 20 people die all around America from car crashes, nobody mourns that. Nobody talks about it. So the reason we were talking about that, though, is because I was talking about how people just don't make good decisions in life. I feel like that alone is one of the reasons why we've had religions and we're supposed to have good parents, is because humans, just like kids are born naturally kind of selfish and not that smart. I think just in general, humans are that way. We're not like that. We're not that consistent. Our emotions change from day to day. Our emotions can change very quickly. and we're not that consistent. We usually have to discover that something is bad before we change our habits. And yeah, you used to be able to rely on your parents for that, but now our heads are all glued to these screens, and we don't think very. Look at that! Did you see that dodge? That was so good. Oh, nice, and we knocked her over. Perfect. Let's get this big bang out. Yeah, I feel like the society has become more of a hedonistic society than it's ever been. Oh, that was a perfect finish. There's been a breakdown of communities. There's been a breakdown of unity within your own country, a breakdown of the family structure, and we all saw it coming. Everybody knew this was happening. Everybody who's ever listened to the news has heard somebody warning about the effects of this, and we're pretty much just living in the effects of this. That's all it is. We're all living in the effects of the breakdown of these societal structures we used to be able to rely on. Skycy says, the German Autobahn is something else as the highway, blazing speeds like 150 miles an hour and faster. I actually remember learning about the Autobahn and how it had no speed limit. Although my German professor told me that that was changing, that some Autobahns actually do have speed limits. Most girls don't blend their foundation. It looks horrible. Thanks, Tiny Tenor. Mark Davidson says, I'm glad my family is pretty good. Oh, you have privilege. You have both parents, privilege. You know what they're going to do for you, Mark? They're going to take points off your ACT because you actually had normal parents now. That's what. Oh, did you see that? We got the fortitude decoration. You know what that means? Wow, do we even need fortitude these days? I feel like my character hasn't actually died that much. The Impatient Gamer says, my parents have a church here in Baltimore City. Whew, you're in Baltimore. So Baltimore, Chicago, and St. Louis. So I'm in St. Louis. We had a guy here talking about Chicago, and you're from Baltimore City. Those are three of like the highest murder rates in America. We're all living in the real dangerous areas. Over the past year, my dad has officiated 4 or 5 funerals for people related to members of his church, all murdered with a handgun. Yeah, what's crazy about Baltimore, Chicago, and St. Louis is the murder rate is so high that it's like higher than some countries that are actually dealing with, heavy drug lord wars going on between these gangs and everything. It's happening here in America. It's really shocking, and something needs to be done. But I don't know. What can you do about it? It seems like anytime you try to do something about it, it just gets turned into a political tool. Lunastra time. All right, remember, guys, everyone joining, we only get one faint, so be real careful. Don't be the one that faints. Let me be the one that faints. Slowsty says, people just tend to think nothing bad will happen to them. Oh, that won't happen to me. What are the chances? I swear they think they are a protagonist. It triggers me to no end. Yep, that's about right. One of the mistakes I think that happens to a lot of young men is they believe they're a little bit invincible, and it's not until they've been seriously injured that they realize, oh yeah, you get one body. It's not like cars where you can just like trade in for the latest model. You get one body, you gotta take very good care of it, and it's gotta last you your whole life. James Dice says, Gameconomist, yeah, many zones have tempo restrictions, and Germany loves to put construction zones on the Autobahn. This slows down too. I hate construction on roadwork. It's so frustrating. Mink says, why not move to somewhere nice, like Montana? Well, we're talking a lot about that, Minx. Me and my wife have talked a lot about moving to the beach somewhere. I think we could, if we saved up carefully, we could afford it someday. Actually, it's one of the reasons why we haven't had kids yet, is because before we have kids, we're hoping to get into a nicer home, and then we can talk about having kids because, if you have kids now, we're going to be trapped where we live because it's going to be so expensive. Which, by the way, I think is one of the reasons why people aren't having kids anymore. They know your life kind of slows down, and we all want to live fast lives with cool cars and vacations and world traveling and all the cool stuff. Or fancy homes. I want a fancy home, man. So let's see what else everyone else is saying. Senior Chicano, Detroit isn't bad. Kashansak says, my friend's car got totaled by it twice. While Among Us says, this stream has been extra long. Well, I also started it early. I started about a half hour early, and we're just working my character up to 50 a little bit. Orion says, I want to believe aliens exist. They're so cool. What if they're really lame, actually? Bottom text says, by the way, you're almost at 69K. So what bottom text is referring to is I'm almost at 69,000 subscribers. Get hyped, everyone. I know you're all dying to see my face. I'll reveal my left pinky. I promise. This is my promise to you. Who's happy with their life choices? Me neither. Yeah. You know what's funny about life choices is there's so much information these days. Really, there is. Oh wait, we're gonna grab a cool drink. There's so much information these days. We all kind of know exactly what you're supposed to do. So the question is, why don't you just do it? Right? Like, you know, you're supposed to eat exactly 0 cookies, right? This is always a great example. You're supposed to eat exactly 0 cookies. Cookies have no nutritional value. They're actually just unhealthy for you, like strictly unhealthy. And yet we have a epidemic of obesity in America. So obviously it's an issue where we know what we're supposed to do, but we all struggle and we don't really know how to fix that. So it's a very interesting thing, and it's true for everyone regarding everything in life. You know you're supposed to study hard, but it's hard to study hard. But that's also why some people get ahead of you and some people don't get ahead of you, right? Some people are going to be stuck working at McDonald's for a long time, and maybe they'll eventually move out of that and into a better job. Whereas the people who had it in them to make the right choices, they move on to a fancy job and they live in a comfortable life. Although these days we all have Facebook and we see people who have comfortable lives and we go, oh, I deserve that. And it's like, nope. That person made a different decision than you. They got ahead of you, and now they're living a nice life. You don't actually deserve that. You have to go do something to deserve that. That's something I think that has really changed a lot over time. I think that people in the past kind of understood, at least more than we understand today, because I think issues like socialism has always been a big issue, but people kind of understand that if you want a nice house, there is an opportunity for you to have a nice house. You have to save up. You have to do a job that is really valuable to society, and therefore it pays a lot, and then you use all that money and you buy a nice house. But people today, we all look at everything on like Facebook. We get so outraged that other people have done things that are extremely valuable to society and they've earned all this money, but all we see really is how much money they have, and we get super angry. And the truth is we get jealous. You remember that? So I've mentioned like the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, and they all pretty universally agree that jealousy is bad. Dude, we're a jealous society. We're a society that still has the same old problems that has been around since those holy books were written. Same old problems. We are a jealous society, and we expect stuff. We're like more entitled today than we've probably ever been. We're like, I actually deserve that. That should be mine. It's like, why? What did you actually do for it? Nothing. I just voted for it. It's not right that he has so much. It's like, why is that? He did stuff for that. He earned it. It's like people don't want to believe in that anymore. They want to believe that the reason that you struggle in life is all because of some shadowy, faceless system. It's another pet peeve topic of mine that frustrates me, because I'm a strong believer that you can go out and you can accomplish great things with your life, and when you believe that, you can't, you're kind of like holding yourself back when you believe you can't go out and accomplish amazing things in life. I wish people believed that they did. Believe it, you know what I mean? Believe me. Celosti says it's called instant gratification is one of the reasons some people don't like Monster Hunter. They don't feel like putting in the effort. They just don't like Lunostra's hitboxes. Ryan says making choices isn't always as easy as making the right ones, especially when you're expected to study for a career from 16 onward. Yeah, the thing is, here's the issue. Life's unfair. I think that you could have 2 people taking the same test and they have different brains. You have one person who is running on 2 engines and another person who's running all 6 engines and like still falling behind the other person. They're trying their very hardest and they're still going to score lower than the other guy, and the truth is because the other guy was born smarter than you. That's the truth. He was born smarter than you. But you're not supposed to let that hold you back. You have to think about everything that you can do that's within your power to do. So if all you focus on is, wow, this guy was born with a bigger brain than me, you just always will be miserable. You know what I mean? You're guaranteed to be miserable if that's the way you think. I didn't have the best grades when I was in college. I kind of graduated with a B, maybe a B minus kind of GPA. I didn't have the best grades, but look, I finished, and actually the job I'm doing right now, doing content creation, is like a dream come true. But I didn't get to this point from thinking that I deserved to have it or that I didn't come in with any assumptions about the world. My only assumption was I just have to work really, 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 really hard, and that was it. Rosa says, I work for a cleaning company, and I personally like it because it gets me outdoors, and I really enjoy it. And I'm working there to have money to support my slowly growing art career. Art careers, man. Lucas Langton says, be yourself, don't let anyone force his religion onto you. Yes, many religious families tend to be extreme, but you won't be happy if you have to bend your entire life because of them. Is Abdil dealing with a religious family? Abdil, my family was super religious, and it destroyed the relationships of everyone in the family. While Among Us like Gameconomist with the motivational commentary. Well, I feel like I think I'm in a fair position to be able to talk about motivational commentary, because my life went from like borderline tragedy, terribleness, to actually being pretty awesome. So I feel like if you're going to get advice about life from somebody, it should be somebody who went from really, really terrible situations to a decent situation. Senor Chicano says, Rip Etika. I agree, Chicano. Rip Etika. I do feel bad for him and his family. There's nothing we can do about it. All we can do is, I guess, mourn. What else do you do? Try to hope that it doesn't happen again to somebody else. Or try to stop it from happening to another person. Tiny Tanner says, this channel has nothing to do with numbers. Economist? Not. Duolingo Bird says, scary how you just couldn't tell he was depressed. Yeah, it's strange. I don't think depression always works in the way where you're depressed and like you go around moping and having black hair. That's, that, like the emo kid, right? I don't think it necessarily works that way. It's very quiet and it's very much internal. While Among Us says, you have a loving fan base. That must be pretty awesome. It is and it isn't. While Among Us, one of the things I also have is a lot of people who actually hate me. You guys just don't actually see that because when I go live, those people aren't here. So I get plenty of people who really, really don't like me. And that's the other part of being on YouTube. And if you ever do YouTube, you'll figure that out. There will be people who just hate the way they sound, or the way you sound, or they will disagree with you on something, or they will be told that you're like a bad person, and then you just completely hate the YouTuber or the streamer, and that's just the nature of it. Like, there's no coming back from it. How close are we? We must have hit 43 now, right? We're in 43. Let's post another. Yeah, it is not all easy. You do get a lot of hate. And it's weird because you always kind of knew that YouTubers deal with, like, quote, haters. You always kind of knew it, but you don't know what it's like to be on the receiving end of it. You get some really weird, crazy people out there. Really, really strange. They try really hard to get under your skin because they're like, I'm going to be the guy who gets under his skin. So, yeah, it's pretty wild. While Among Us, so many famous people have been depressed and ultimately committed neck rope without anyone being able to tell. Yes, this is true. James Dice says, oh, I see what you're saying. So James Dice, I'll occasionally have like a video where I'll say something that's not true because I'm an idiot. Right, like I'll give out bad advice. And this was especially true at the beginning of my channel. I'll give out like bad advice and then people will hold that against me forever. They will go around telling people, don't listen to him, he's a liar. Don't listen to him, he's bad for the community. So you get, that's one of the most common ones. And then you just have, I think you get people who are also very competitive and they do not like to see that my channel is doing well. And I think it annoys them. So I think there's that. And then finally you have the last group of people who just don't like the way I sound or just some really fickle thing about me. Maybe they disagree with my political views. While Among Us says, yeah, I actually I do know that feeling. I have had people hate on me before for a long time. Some fanboys who I triggered sometime. Alright guys, remember we only get one life for this fight against Lunastra. So far we've had 2 successful runs. Let's make it 3 successful runs. Mink says, when you're successful on YouTube, you're going to get critics and people who are going to dislike you. Excuse me. Someone made a 3-hour stream about how Donkey isn't even a good game reviewer. What? Who would say that? Rosa says, I enjoy your art and video section of Discord for I can show people my art. Oh, you're posting it there? Very cool, Rosa. I won't name names, but I had someone throwing nasty comments at me for what I draw. Oh, well, that sucks. Maybe I'll do a video sometime showing off everyone's drawings from that channel. Cornboy says, spoiler, Gameconomist is just Keanu Reeves with the voice changer. That's not true. While Among Us says, obviously you're a much bigger channel, so I can guess you have many people who hate you. Yes. So this is what happens, Wellmunga. If your channel is in the spotlight, you get a combination of people who are like, they're there because they enjoy your content. But then you also get like a counterculture of people who are there to tell you how bad I am. Like, just because my channel is getting enough attention, you naturally will develop haters who are there to convince others how stupid they are for following Gameconomist. And I've experienced a lot of that. It's pretty nasty, man. It's pretty nasty. I had somebody lying about me stealing content. It was 100% false, and they were just telling people that as much as they could, and it was just kind of. I'd never dealt with that before in life, where people were telling straight up lies about you, and they were kind of like defamatory lies, and I didn't really know what to do. There's not much you can do. People just tell lies about you, and that's the end of it. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, it was just kind of a weird experience, and it wasn't pleasant, but it was also very educational. Walling Manga says, it's like everything, there will be people who love something and people who hate it. Well, there's that. You're talking about like a difference in preference of colors, like red versus blue. What's interesting though is I think when something becomes popular, there will be a counterculture of people who are maybe like hipsters or something like that, or they don't want to go with the crowd, and they're there to explain to you how bad you are for accepting maybe like something that's more mainstream. So something like that. That's what I imagine anyways. It is pretty wild. It is nice to have all you here though. So you get good and you get bad. You get a lot of people who are very supportive. I was never strangely enough, I was never the kind of a person who was very strongly affected by anyone else's opinion. I have my own opinion. It's the only opinion I really care about. Very tenacious, very tenacious. In my family, there were, maybe it's because of my family, there was a total of 13 of us, right? All from the same mom and dad. And so there was constant fighting and psychological kind of like games where we're trying to defeat each other at an emotional level. So I came out of that, and I think when I have to deal with it in the real world is kind of easy. It's like, oh, I know exactly what you're doing. And I don't care. So yeah, maybe being in a family with a lot of conflict where there were so many children competing with each other, it just it left me in this position where nothing really bothers me. God, man, can you just stop? She's just flying everywhere. She's like, okay, we'll fly back this way now. She fly every direction, man. There we go. KO, please, KO. Oh, she didn't KO. Not everything's breathtaking. Duolingo says, I just hate racism. That's fine. That is a good thing to hate. Roman says, no, I haven't watched the newest episode of One Punch, but the last episode was fire. Redacted says, I'm gonna pull a ninja, disappear now. Good night. See you later, Redacted. MS says, love your channel. Been following since I started Monster Hunter World. Hey, I'm glad to hear that. You've been around for a while then. You probably realized my videos have gone up a bit in quality. Because I didn't really know what I was doing when I got started. Ming says, I wish I had that many siblings. I guess you could wish that. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have that many kids, and I didn't enjoy my large family experience at all. It was awful. James Grady says, watching this run makes me sad that I've yet to get the Kiar Ice Charge Blade. Time to do more Kulv Taroth, I guess. Oh, she still hit me. My mom has 14 siblings, but one died of dysentery. That sucks, man. She gonna ult? No, she's not gonna ult. She's on the ledge. I just can't get anything out of it. Goddamn, dude. Alright. Dysentery, huh? Man. Life is fragile, guys. You gotta appreciate it. Let's give her the smack. We didn't give her any smack at all. Now I feel demasculated. Is it demasculated? I think it's emasculated. So many words to know. No, don't leave! There we go. Crystal Burst coming in handy. Gameconomist says, accept it or don't watch my content. Yeah, very easy choice. But people who are angry like that, they're not there to just... They're there to make other people dislike me. That is their actual goal. Because if you didn't like my content, you just wouldn't watch it. which I'm sure there's people out there who don't like my content. And so what's really going on is very often is people who want to, perhaps they want to personally see if they can get me mad, or they're there to convince others to have the same belief. But you know what? I don't actually care that much. As you can tell, I don't really talk about it too much because it doesn't actually bother me. 2 seasons, One Punch Man getting fire. For how long will you stream? Well, we just killed Lunastra for the 3rd time. Am I going to get a gem? See if we get a gem real fast. We do need Lunastra gems in order to make Lunastra weapons. What I'm thinking is 3:21, and it might be a good time to wrap up the stream so that we can do Monster Hunter GU. What do you guys think? Monster Hunter GU time? You guys let me know, because we got some GU to play. I'm thinking, some people were telling me my armor is too strong now. If that's the case, what I can do is I can mix it with the Tetsukabra armor to make sure it stays adequately challenging. We got to make sure it's adequately challenging, everyone. Yes, we are definitely going to have GU. Yes. We actually got a lot done in this last episode. We killed Behemoth. We farmed up HR50. We did a few more optional quests. Yeah, we got a lot done. Oh, look at that. Still no... Man, still no gems. You gotta have gems. Mink says, this is what you do. This is what happens. You make fun of Dauntless, then do another Dauntless stream to apologize for your ways. Alright, so I guess what I'll do is I'll take a break, and I will do my stretches and a bit of a walk. Maybe I'll eat something, and then I will be back to do some Monster Hunter GU with you guys. I'm also working on a video right now. I'm supposed to be working on weapon popularity and top 5 longsword, but I'm working now instead on a video of all the best craftable weapons. I was just enjoying that more, so I've moved over to that. All right, let me do the wave real fast. We're going to end this on a fast, sweet note. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Do a little wave. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.